We push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. A lifetime suspension from Major League Baseball for Padres infielder Tucupita Marcano for betting on the sport. Placed bets on games in 2022 and 2023 when he was with the Pirates organization. While Commissioner Rob Manfred's got concerns with gambling, they're not enough to end baseball's partnerships with gambling operations and the money made from them. ESPN MLB insider Jeff Passan.
To me, if you're really that concerned that this is a top priority of yours, then you're going to do everything you can, including getting rid of partnerships with these companies. But the league has shown no inclination to do that, and they're happy to throw the players under the bus. And I understand that because the players have free will.
Jeff Passan on Freddie and Harry. San Francisco's Christian McCaffrey has again reset the NFL running back market, signed a 2-year extension. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports averaging $19 million a year. Receiver Brandon Ayuk seeking an extension, absent from the start of mandatory minicamp today. Receiver CeeDee Lamb, a no-show for the start of Cowboys minicamp. He's looking for an extension as well.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Wednesday as minicamps continue. I'll give you my biggest storylines that I'm paying attention to. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us, AFR, presented by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You sue. And Mr. Toby Tom Blake. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Shea Dixon in about 15 minutes from right now. We got some NFL quarterback tier rankings to delve into, some win totals for football, but we obviously have a ton of baseball to talk today, so let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
Runner at second, 2 outs, a 2-2 count, and the pitch.
Get over
into center field. Honeycutt going back on the run. He will have it. And LSU season comes to an end here in the Chapel Hill Regional.
LSU falls 4-3 in 10 innings. We got a lot to discuss with this game and with this season. We're going to do it today. Jay Johnson, though, after the game, feeling like all of us are feeling.
I have a broken heart just simply because I wanted to go to practice on Wednesday. And I love these guys. I'll never forget this week the rest of my life. Congratulations again to North Carolina, but broken heart tonight.
You know, we can be impressed with how this team fought. And they did. I mean, we've said it a lot, but from 3-12 in the league, fighting your way back in the second half the way you did, winning that series against Texas A&M, needing to sweep Ole Miss, doing it, needing to get a win in the SEC tournament. You got 3. I mean, it was a really fun run for LSU. Excuse me, you got 4 in the SEC tournament. My apologies. We can be really impressed and thrilled with how they fought back. And we can similarly be disappointed with how it finished. Because at its most basic level, you had a lead in the 9th inning with your best pitcher on the mound, and you lost. And that sucks, and that's gutting. And it's also true to say that the standard at LSU is to host postseason baseball and to advance. That is the standard. That is the expectation. And you didn't do it. You went 13-17 in the SEC. You traveled for a regional, and you lost. That is not an acceptable season. I'm not telling you something that you don't know. I'm not telling you something Jay Johnson doesn't know. He knows the expectation here. Every single coach and player that puts on that uniform knows the expectation. And that's just the reality when you play for or coach at a program that has won 7 national championships. The expectation is you're going to be one of the top 16, if not one of the top 8 in the country. Postseason ball is going to go through the box, and LSU is going to have a massive advantage, and you're going to get to Omaha. It doesn't happen every year, but when it doesn't, you're right to be disappointed. Talk a little bit about the game. We'll talk about the season. We'll talk about how they fix what wronged them or what ailed them this year. We will talk about the roster for 2025. So we've got a lot of baseball to delve into today, but first, the game itself. We'll start at the very end. Nate Ackenhausen strikes out the side in the 8th. You go to the 9th. You're up a run. You're 3 outs away from advancing, and Jay Johnson goes to gauge jump. After the game, here was Jay Johnson talking about the end game scenario and the decisions they made.
And then I felt great about where we were. I thought Nate was a completely different look than him, and Gage is completely different than both of them. And we'd set this plan in motion before we came here that's what we would do, and they executed. Gallagher got it going, so there's no way we were going to let him beat us, again right there. And you credit Madera for staying on the ball and putting the ball in play. And it was just like the whole game there at the end, we were this close. I mean, if we don't, I don't know what happened on the fly ball or the line drive. Ball was scorched. I don't know what happened, but if that's caught, we're in the dugout. It's a different deal. I mean, they have to play, and let's say everything else plays the same, they have to play tighter to be able to throw him out on a ball hit, and Josh's ball gets over his head, and we're in a super regional, and it's just that thin. But I'm good because of how we prepared and how we competed.
A lot of people are going to say that, I've heard this already, that Jay overcoached the moment. He outthought himself. I completely disagree with that, and quite honestly, that's just hindsight 2020. And I don't even care if you were sitting there at the end of the 8th inning saying bringing Nate Ackenhausen back out in the 9th. You'd be wrong. Say it all the time about baseball. It's one of my true core tenets in baseball. You fail 70% of the time, you go to the Hall of Fame. Baseball is a game of failure. It doesn't always work. You have to have sound logic behind the decision you made. You had a lead, and you had your best pitcher on the mound trying to get you 3 outs, and it didn't work. Maybe it works 9 times out of 10. The time it mattered, it didn't. That doesn't mean it was the wrong decision in that moment. Let's play the what-if game. What if you put Ackenhausen there to start the 9th, and Ackenhausen goes and gives up the double? Then we're all sitting here today saying, why didn't you go to jump? You had him ready? Come on. Tip your hat to North Carolina. They put some good swings on your best pitcher who was out there dealing 96, doing what he does, and they got through. You heard Jay mention the ball in right field. Of course, that was the ball that Jake Brown couldn't find, and he's right. Jake Brown makes that play. You're in the dugout in the 10th in a tie ball game instead of being down a run, needing a run to extend your season. It was a rough day for Jake Brown in the outfield. I mean, the first inning, he let a ball fall in front of him that he should have caught on the run, and he got kind of crossed up and let it fall. Jake Brown's an awesome player. He's going to have a great career here. He's going to be your everyday center fielder and bat in the top 30 of your lineup next year. He's phenomenal. Just a rough day in the field, man. It sucks that it happened when it did. I mean, talk to Alex Bregman. As a freshman, he went and made a critical error against North Carolina in the College World Series. It worked out okay for Bregman, and Jake Brown's going to be fine. He's an awesome player. Just sucks. He screwed up in a big moment. It happens to almost every athlete that's ever played any game ever. Bottom line, also, you got to hit. You had 3 runs on 5 hits. 3 runs on 5 hits. You got to produce, and you didn't. I'd be remiss if I went any further without talking about Will Helmers. Here was Jay on the day that Will Helmers had.
This is special right here, what this young man did tonight. He's an elite pitcher. Somebody should sign him. If anybody in professional baseball is paying attention, they'll sign Will Helmers. But last year he wasn't even on the roster in Omaha. But you're allowed the 40-person deal, and you can figure out who the first person, I would put on there as an extra was Will, because of what he means to our team and our program in true team fashion. Never one time in the 3 years that I've known him asked what was in it for him or status or anything. It was all about LSU baseball and our program. And he's probably the best example of what we want to be about, what being a man is all about. And I'm certainly proud of him and proud of our team.
Reality is legacies at a place like LSU are made in the postseason. It's the nature of the being. Whenever you are... or the nature of the beast, I should say. When you're a program that's won 7 national championships, people don't remember big-time regular season matchups. It's rare. I mean, hell, Aaron Nola and Jonathan Gray went head-to-head in a super regional back in 2013, but people don't talk about that every day because, those are 2 top 10 picks. People don't talk about that every day because that team didn't go to Omaha and win it. So, unfortunately, this isn't going to be an outing that people talk about at the tip of their tongue forever because LSU lost the game. But Will Helmers, 5 2/3, after you made 2 pitching chains already before you got through 2 innings, Helmers goes out there and shoves 5 2/3 shutout, allowing 2 hits, struck out 4, walked 2. It was incredible. He just kept throwing up zeros. And he got you to the end of the game when you're wondering how in the world are you going to have enough pitching to piece this together when Dutton didn't even get an out. And Coleman walks in a run. It was incredible. I can think of a lot of outings, man. Devin Fontenot against Florida State back in 2019. 6 1/3 of 1-run ball. 2 hits, struck out 11 in relief. 6 1/3 in relief. But they lost. So we don't talk about it as much. And chances are we're not going to talk about this as much just because I'm not saying it's fair. It doesn't minimize what Helmers did. He was incredible. But fair or unfair, teams in this program are judged by what they do in the postseason. When you lose a regional, people tend to forget about those things. We'll remember Ackenhausen and Herring in Omaha last year. We'll remember Caleb Gilbert against Oregon State in 2017 because they won that game and made it all the way to the championship series. But Will Helmers was amazing, man. Hat tip to him. Unfortunately for the Tigers, they came up a smidge short, and it stings because you know what was ahead. You had Gage jump on the mound, 3 outs in front of you. If you get them, you're hosting West Virginia in a super regional where you are a heavy favorite against that team to get back to Omaha. And with Jump, Holman, Hurd lined up, you'd feel really good about your opportunity to make a deep run in the College World Series. But it wasn't meant to be. Sometimes the old adage with the hardest outs to get are the last 3, and that proved to be the case for LSU on Monday night. So the season ends in the regional final, 4-3 in 10 innings. We got a ton to talk about. I want to talk about the season as a whole, what went wrong, how they fixed it, how they continue to correct some of that into next year. We are going to look at sort of a roster outlook as well. So we're going to talk a ton of baseball throughout the show today. We got Shea Dixon coming up here right after the break. Show Open Every Day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy in Louisiana with the great taste of Bud Light. Man, Saturday was awesome, y'all. Saturday was so much fun over at the UFC VIP watch party with our friends at Bud Light and Mockler Beverage. Man, it was just packed. And the cool part about it is there were a dozen Mockler employees who were there. And I was talking to some of my friends at Mockler earlier today, and they're hiring, not only in Baton Rouge, but Houma and Lake Charles. So if you're listening to us, of course, we told you we did the show out there in Lake Charles a few months back. Mockler acquired Southwest Bev in Southwest Louisiana. There in Lake Charles, they're hiring. So, man, if you want to be a Bud man, you want to go working with a place with great culture, where they value employees, they're hiring at all their locations, Baton Rouge, Houma, and Lake Charles. So give them a shout. Go to the website there, Mockler Beverage, and apply today online and join the team over at Mockler Beverage. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR. Okay, let me knock out a break, y'all. Shea Dixon, come back. We'll talk recruiting in his regular spot, and we'll get back into some baseball talk as we move along. We're glad you're with us. It's AFR.
AFR.
Friends over at Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys wish congratulations to Jay Johnson and all the Tigers, members of the G team, which made a great run there late as well. Alex Milazzo and Hayden Travinsky and Gavin Guidry and so many members of the G team that were such a critical part. Josh Pearson, a critical part of LSU making the run that they did throughout this postseason and into the postseason. They give us a lot to cheer for. So Gordon's done great work as well. Not only a great Tiger fan, but a great supporter of student athletes, both male and female, at schools all over the state of Louisiana. And, of course, Gordon's been a great resource for injured people in our state for 3 decades. More than 10,000 Louisiana residents they've represented, recovering more than $2 billion in damages. So it's real easy. If you've been injured in an accident and it's not your fault, do what injured people in our state have done for more than 30 years. Go to getgordon.com. That's getgordon.com. You know what to do. Get Gordon and get it done.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $11,000 off the new 23 Dodge Charger. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $11,000 off the powerful new Charger. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile power.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Glad to have you rolling along with us here. We will delve back into LSU baseball, the season ending. Gave my thoughts on the North Carolina game to open the show. And in a bit, we'll talk about what went wrong this season, how they fix it. We will do a full roster outlook, who's definitively leaving, who could be back. We'll do that at the start of hour number 2. So make sure you stick with us here. We got a ton to do today. I'm glad you're here. All right, it's After Further Review. Every Tuesday, we have the pleasure to be joined by Shea Dixon on 3 The Bengal Tiger. Good enough to be with us here. Shady, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you, Matt?
Doing great. Hey, I saw Patrick Peterson was back on campus this weekend. And correct me if I'm wrong, this was like a big visitor weekend for LSU. And they had some big-name cornerbacks on campus as well. Can you walk us through, like, what role, like, why Peterson was here, what role he might have in being able to help recruit?
Yeah, look, they had double-digit official visitors. So every recruit just takes one official visit to a school, if they're one of their top teams. And to have 12 on campus at one time, that's one of the higher numbers that I've seen here recently. So of the 12, Matt, 5 of them were 5-stars, and that included those 2 corners. So Dorian Brew, whose dad, Derek Brew, ran track here at LSU, was an Olympic gold medalist back in the 90s, was on campus. Dorian was out of Conroe, Texas. And then DJ Pickett, another 5-star, the number 1 corner in the country coming out of Florida. And he's a guy, and look, Dorian Brew's a legacy, but Pickett's a guy we've talked about so often because when Corey Raymond got hired, he was already recruiting him at Florida. He's visited, I think DJ had told me this was his 4th visit to LSU since Raymond got hired. So Raymond's only been here since January. That's about a visit a month, coming all the way from Florida. And just catching up with his dad last week at the On3 Elite Series. Both their dads were there at the On3 Elite Series in Nashville. And they talked about the impact Corey Raymond's had. I think that when you see Patrick Peterson come back on a weekend like this one, it speaks to a guy like Corey Raymond being here, connections you have, and then being dialed in. It's the same reason you bring a guy like Frank back and Leonard Fournette stays around the program, or Matthew, or whoever it might be. I think this was one of those things where DJ Pickett's dad has talked about. He's already had a relationship with Patrick Peterson, bouncing things off of Patrick Peterson's parents, because they were both kind of in the same spot, coming out of Florida as number 1 recruits and 5-stars and being courted by out-of-state schools like LSU. So when you've got that kind of resources in your pipeline, I think you're tapping into them as often as you can.
Shea, are there rules against I've always wondered this because I know it's been a little ambiguous. Are there rules against alums interacting with recruits?
Not on campus in those situations, which is why you've seen Joe Burrow taking photos with everybody on visits when he comes back in town for the spring game or whatever it might be. Look, over at FSU this weekend, for instance, they had former players in the NFL now. I think I saw Derwin James, may have been one of them, FaceTiming in with DBs who were on campus for a visit. So, like I said, when you've got those kind of players out there, that Justin Jefferson's making that kind of money, I would think that you would want him to be back around as often as possible.
Yeah. Do you know, was that intentional for the recruiting weekend that he was here?
I don't know. I think that I'd heard he had been around once more in the past month, so twice. So I don't know what he's got going on, but clearly he made part of it, his weekend being over there and talking with those guys. So I don't think that was probably the only reason, but yes, I think he was more than willing to help out, as evidenced by the fact that he gave $1 million, him and Tyron each, to build facilities or parts of facilities over there. So yeah, he's pretty invested, both with his time and money when it comes to LSU. Which, hey, look, you got a guy like in Matthew in New Orleans, you love that, right? You see a Louisiana guy doing it. A guy like Peterson, he's from South Florida. This became his new home in college, and that's what you're selling to recruits like DJ Pickett.
Shea, we spent so much of this offseason talking about the defensive line through the portal. And it's interesting, as you and I have talked every week about this 2025 class, we all know it's at the top, right, with Bryce Underwood and Harlan Berry, and you got Tyler Miller. You got all these great offensive players. And I've asked several times, when are the defensive guys, elite defensive guys, going to start rolling through? Especially on the defensive line. Any updates there, how that went this weekend?
Yeah, among those double-digit visitors were a handful of defensive linemen. And I had said, we had talked about this about a month ago, and I said, I think that we'll see both, because they don't have any D-line or edge commits right now, both Kevin Peoples and Brad Davis kind of get through their board and their spring evals and bring guys in on unofficial visits. And when they line up official visits, they'll really get a true feel for who they're in it with and maybe who they want to push for. And look, it took one official visit weekend for a number of On3 RPM picks to go in for LSU, predicting guys to land at LSU, or land with the Tigers, I should say. The highest rated being Damian Shanklin, the number 1 player out of Indiana, who's a top 100 prospect. He's a top 10 edge rusher in the country, and coveted by the who's who. I mean, Ohio State is the main competition up there. Tennessee got him in, made a big splash, but the work done, and this is kind of a theme here I'll touch on with the second half of this, but the work done by Blake Baker and Kevin Peoples, and really Peoples here in this instant, recruiting edge rushers, when they were at Missouri, is paying off because they were already all over him, considered he was Indiana's top prospect. You get to LSU, you continue recruiting him, and most people feel like LSU is in the driver's seat. And then with Bo Davis, Brandon Brown, for instance, is committed to Texas. He committed to Bo Davis, and he was in town this past weekend, and now there's kind of a feeling of, hey, look, he might flip to LSU. And he had kind of originally committed to LSU because of Bo Davis, a while back. And now that Davis is in Baton Rouge, how does that change things? Well, he makes an official visit. And then we saw, again, another guy in Xavier Akpanu coming out of Texas has put a decision date for later this month. Some feel like he will end up in LSU's class, and he was a guy he was on at Texas. And Zion Williams, who was on his official visit, a big Texas target, coming out of Lufkin, made his official visit. He still has Texas visits to come, A&M, the Longhorns both will get him to campus, but July 4th he will announce. And he said that coming right off of the OV weekend. So I think there's a feeling that they made some real headway with, I'd name 3 or 4 guys right there that were in town this past weekend and could very well likely end up in this class.
Zion Williams, had to do a double take there just to make sure that you didn't say Williams' son. That would have been one hell of a coincidence if it were a Zion Williamson coming to Louisiana. But we'll follow Zion Williams. Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger.
Made that. Yeah, I've made that mistake already. Trust me. When you write out or say that, and then people are like, "I think that you messed that up." I'm like, "Oh, I did, didn't I?" I referenced a very rich NBA player.
There's also autocorrect problems that are going to absolutely happen in my phone if Zion Williams ends up committing to LSU out of Lufkin. Shea Dixon's with us on 3, the Bengal Tiger. He's on Twitter at Shea Dixon. Now, you mentioned Justin Jefferson getting paid. That's obviously massive news. I would imagine that helps with some of the receivers. And there were 2 5-star receivers in town this weekend.
Yeah, Jamie French was once committed to Bama and then decommitted when Saban stepped down. He made his official visit, and then Khalid Lockett made his official visit coming out of Texas. Both of them are 5 stars. I spent time around both of them a week ago up in Nashville at that On3 Elite series. And look, Lockett's the number 3 receiver in the country. French is the number 4 receiver in the country. Like, these are the who's who of guys that are out there, and they're looking at LSU very seriously. And it's, look, French's mom grew up in the Feliciana. He lives in Jacksonville, but his mom went to Southern, grew up in the Feliciana, so they have family in the area. And LSU is certainly in the kind of mix there as one of the top teams. And Lockett is an interesting one because they recruit East Texas well. He's a guy who's early on. It's kind of always been high on LSU, but it's with both those guys, I would say, too, starting to develop into, I'm looking up and seeing LSU battling Texas a lot more than I've ever seen before. And it's funny, with the move on from Saban, Bama and LSU really aren't crossing paths on a lot of guys right now, and we'll ultimately see how Bama goes about recruiting under that new regime that, obviously at least at the top isn't heavy on any sort of Southeast background or experience. But even A&M, it's not been a lot of LSU A&M battles. I think we're going to move forward here and talk a lot about LSU versus Texas when it comes to recruiting.
Is there any update on DeCorian Moore, Shea?
Yeah, he'll be back in town this weekend, which is new news to come out about a week ago when Moore said that Frank Wilson, Joe Sloan, Cortez Hankton, after he decommitted, said all went over to Duncanville, all sat down with him and his mom and talked things over, and he put LSU back on the list of planned visits. I think everybody thinks, okay, he's probably going to stay close to home, meaning Texas, but Oregon's in the mix. Obviously, he's been committed to LSU before. I wouldn't circle him and say he's going to end up back in the class, considering he just decommitted not very long ago, but he is no doubt in the mind of the entire industry, the number 1 player at receiver in the country. And all 4 of the major recruiting sites have him there. So you just keep on recruiting him. And look, you just signed Caden Durham out of Duncanville. You were in it with Colin Simmons. You recruit DeCorian Moore until the end. And one thing that I think people will come to realize over time is it's different finishing second now than it was ever before. Because when kids hit the portal, if you don't have a familiarity with them and if you don't have ties to their parents and their high school and all of that, you're behind the 8 ball. If you do, you're the team that's got a bit of an advantage. So even when it might seem like, a guy like DeCorian Morton may not end up back at LSU, if you're the staff, you have to continue to go after him.
Shea, before you go, and Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger. Usually when you come out of big recruiting weekends, again, this is just my very novice outside looking in view, you normally pop a commit here or there. Any surprise that they didn't land a commit this weekend, or should we expect any coming soon?
I think not surprised at that, because everybody that visited, and this was technically the second weekend of official visits of what would be about 6 total that kids are taking, but it was the first for LSU. So I think all 12 guys that came still have visits to come. So I didn't expect any of them would pop right away. That said, guys are setting decision dates, like I said. You look at Zion Williamson, leading the visit and saying, hey, on July 4th, I'll announce. And Xavier Akpanu, who will be on campus later this month at D-Line, saying that he's going to announce this month. So there are guys that, yes, have dates out there. I'll also note we're in camp season, which it kind of got rained out a bit, bad O-line, D-Line only this past weekend. But when we get into those elite camps and the Friday night lights, there'll be guys on campus that get offers and could pop. I mean, we see it every summer. So I think this next month will be pretty busy for them.
He is Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger. Always a pleasure, Shea. Thanks for the time, man.
Absolutely. Anytime, Matt.
All right. We'll talk next week. It's After Further Review, brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020, 924-2020, or williamsoneye.com. I tell you about LASIK all the time. I really want to point out and push as well EVO ICL. ICL stands for Implantable Contact Lens. And this may sound new, but this is something that they've actually been doing at the Williamson Eye Center for like 20 years. It's just now becoming more in vogue. It's a reversible procedure where they implant a contact lens into your eye. And so over time, if you need to, you can reverse it, you can take it out. It's pretty incredible to check out the technology. It's an alternative to LASIK. LASIK, of course, changes the shape of your eye. So if you want to learn more, I would highly recommend, like no matter your age or your refractive issue, schedule that consultation with Dr. Blake Williamson. Call 924-2020, 924-2020, or go to williamsoneye.com to schedule that consultation. Sit down, have that consultation with Dr. Blake. Let him explain your options, no matter your age or your refractive issue. If you want to see 20/20 and ditch the contacts and glasses forever, they can help at the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020 or williamsoneye.com. All right, y'all. Thanks to Shea. We appreciate it for being here with us. There's a couple of LSU Tigers have hit the portal today. Of course, the portal window for college baseball is now open. So, or I should say for the spring sports, is now open. So one of the things with LSU's baseball season now ending, and a lot of guys who didn't make the postseason roster going off for summer ball, if they're going to go play in a summer league, a wooden bat league, or going home, whatever it may be, we're going to expect to see some of those names hit the portal. And similarly, you're already seeing some big-time names from other schools enter the portal that you know good and well LSU is going to be in the mix for. One in particular, a shortstop out of the ACC we'll talk about here in just a bit as well. So let me knock out a break. We'll come back, catch up on all what's the super regional set. We'll get you set on all that, and we'll kind of get you through a little bit of the portal stuff that you need to know. We do have a lot of baseball talk today, so we're glad you're with us. Stick around with us here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Man, I'm thrilled to introduce Duplessis Builders and Derek Duplessis as a new partner on AFR. It's pretty simple. You want a pool, you want someone who is the best. And when I say the best, I mean when I tell you about Derek Duplessis' background, this isn't your common garden variety contractor. This is a guy who went to LSU and graduated in mechanical engineering with a minor in aerospace engineering. So when you talk about the quality of the pool that he will build at your home, it's going to last because it's engineered to that engineered standards. They do not cut corners. You will expect the entire process to build your pool to take about 2 months because that's what it takes for the concrete to cure, for the tiling and the coping to cure, to do it right. That's why with Duplessis, not only is their work beautiful, there's a lot of pool builders that build beautiful pools. It lasts. At Duplessis, their workmanship warranty is 10 years when the industry standard is 1. DuplessisBuilders.net.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be, where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Basket full of chicken and a big cold jug of sweet tea. I make a little room and she climbs on up.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Our Rad Dad contest is back, presented by Roaming Shot Outdoors and Shooting Range. Upload a picture of your dad doing dad things to 1045ESPN.com for a chance to win him a Blackstone grill with all the accessories, one long-range shooting class for two from Roaming Shot Outdoors and Shooting Range, steaks from Chris's Specialty Foods, a Hawk soap gift basket, and a full throttle package from Finish Line Haircuts. We'll be choosing a winner June 14th. Yeah. Happy Father's Day from Roaming Shot Outdoors Shooting Range and 1045 ESPN.
That's next Friday.
That is next Friday.
I'm not going to be here. You're in Muse.
I know that.
Next Thursday, Friday, we're taking Drew to cardiology. So I'll be out Thursday, Friday next week. So
I'll be here.
Legit reason to be out. Not going on a vacay. That's coming up later this month.
Same, and I cannot wait.
God dog those Tigers, Muse. Tell you what, man. Just very candidly, we always say here, we're all, of course, fans, and we want LSU to win and play deep into June and go to the World Series and win it all. So, yes, the fan in me wants that very much. The radio host in me wants LSU to play for as long as they possibly can, because when LSU baseball ends, that's when the live sports for the calendar year, or I guess I shouldn't say for the calendar year, for that school year ends, or for that the fiscal year, not the calendar year. But so the next time, I guess, if you're just looking at the calendar per se, you do have OTAs for the Saints, and then the mandatory minicamp, and then, of course, training camp and things like that. But we're going to get to middle of July, second week of July, full week, which is Monday, July 14th, is when SEC Media Day starts. And so we always look at, we go Media Days, and then the week after Media Days, the Saints report. The week after the Saints report, LSU reports. And then it's just like you're in it. The next week you've got a preseason football game, and then it's boom, 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 and you're on the way through football and then the calendar just goes that way. So when LSU, like last year, plays to the end of June, and then you go on vacation, pretty pumped about that when that happens. But we got tons to do in this off season. So I love these months. I know some people don't. I love them. I mean, there's always meat on the bone, and we're excited to be here. So we normally do, or you know what? Hit the Around the SEC thing. Why not? Let's go. Let's keep it formal.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference.
So Florida was the other SEC team playing on Monday night, and they beat Oklahoma State to advance to the Super Regional round. So if you're scoring at home, of the 8 Super Regionals, the 16 teams remaining, 5 are from the Southeastern Conference. So the schedule's already set. And we talked about it yesterday, Muse, about how not necessarily would a team that play on Monday start a Saturday, Sunday, Monday regional. They did it to North Carolina.
Yeah.
Now they're at home, but Carolina played on Monday, and Carolina and West Virginia are playing on Friday. Anyway, only one SEC team in action on Friday. That's Tennessee hosting Evansville. My God, they just got such a gigantic break there with Evansville.
Is a path paved in gold.
Then again, we did say the same thing when Stony Brook came to Baton Rouge. And none of us knew that was actually a really good baseball team with more pro draft picks than LSU had that season. Same with Coastal Carolina, and they came here and then went on to win the national championship. Now, wasn't Evansville the 4, though, in that region? Evansville was a 4.
So was Stony Brook.
Stony Brook was a 4.
Stony Brook was a 4.
Boy, did they misseed them. Wow. Anyway, so Tennessee against Evansville on Friday. The other SEC teams get an action starting on Saturday. Georgia, the number 7 national seed, they'll host NC State in a 7-10 matchup. The 3 seed Texas A&M, they welcome in Oregon. That's also on Saturday. Florida is at the 6 seed Clemson. They'll start Saturday at 1 o'clock Central. And Kentucky, the number 2 national seed, they welcome in the Beavs. Oregon State, a 2:15 matchup there in Lexington. 5 SEC teams in Super Regional ball. Unfortunately, one of them is not LSU, as he couldn't close the door on Carolina in the 9th inning. There at the Bosch.
The Bosch, man.
All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC. We're brought to you by First South Farm Credit. I do want to talk some transfer portal stuff. We'll get to that here in just 30 seconds. I'll tell you about First South Farm Credit. FirstSouthLand.com. You want to buy land? You do what Louisianians have done since 1916. You go to FirstSouthLand.com. Your first option is First South Farm Credit. Go to FirstSouthLand.com. Ask yourself this question. If you've ever borrowed money, and I'm guessing many of us have, from a bank, from a lender for an auto, for our home, whatever it is, how many lenders ever write you a check? Well, First South Farm Credit has done that for 29 consecutive years. It's their patronage refund. And this year, they redistributed $25.5 million to their borrowers. They share in the profits as a cooperative. So it actually reduces your cost of lending. So let's say, hypothetically, if your rate's a 5 with your patronage refund, it could actually be like your rate is a 4. You got to learn more. FirstSouthLand.com, your first call. First South Farm Credit. FirstSouthLand.com. Okay, portal tracker. For LSU, we know that 2 players have formally entered the portal already. Micah Bucknam has entered the portal, and Austin Rolig has entered the portal. So that's 2 LSU players already that have formally entered. I can tell you, I've been told Zeb Ruddle is also going to enter the portal. He's playing for the Baton Rouge Rougarou this summer, and the expectation is that he'll enter the portal. So that's 3 and counting. I fully expect there will be more players, and the names aren't hard to know, especially when it's a lot of guys who have maybe been on campus for a year or 2 and haven't contributed. When you kind of keep getting buried on that depth chart, you wonder, where's your path to the field? Well, typically you leave and you open up that roster spot. So I do think you got to keep an eye on some other more prominent LSU players in this team that could be portal, potential portal players. And again, in about 17 minutes to start hour 2, I'm going to go through a full sort of 2025 roster outlook. Who's definitely going, who's definitely back, who's a draft target, who has a decision to make, transfer, all that sort of stuff. But one name that has entered the portal that I was told LSU will be in on is Gavin Killen. Sorry. He is from Louisville, and he's a shortstop from Louisville who hit he slashed 330, 361, and 591 with 9 homers and a 9.4% K rate. He is ranked as the 17th best prospect for the 2025 draft. So you were talking about a guy that if you land him, and I'm told LSU plans to be in on Gavin Killen from Louisville. If you land him, you have a guy that's your day one starting shortstop and bats in the middle of your lineup. So that would be a massive get when you look at what LSU is losing, right? I mean, Tommy White has gone to the draft. Braswell could very well be drafted, and Bear Jones is certainly a draft risk as a draft-eligible sophomore. Both Travinsky and Milazzo are out of eligibility. Brady Neal's a guy that could there's some chatter about Neal potentially being a guy that enters the portal as well. Remember, he's from Tallahassee, and the Noles like to spend money, and Neal's been a platoon player for 2 years. I'm not saying he's definitively going, but it's a possibility. So you could be looking at Stephen Milam as your only starting infielder returning. So you need infielders. And you've got MJ Seo, and you've got Kucherak, and you got guys that you like on your roster, but you could certainly use some experience. And you better believe Jay's going to go look in the portal and make sure he's not vulnerable there. So just one worth keeping an eye on there. Again, Gavin Killen from Louisville, their starting shortstop, hit the portal today, and that's one I fully expect LSU will be in the mix for. Okay, and that obviously begs the question about Braswell. Is Braswell back? Does he go to the draft? We'll talk about that again in about 15 minutes. We'll do the full roster overview for 2025. We've got a ton of baseball to get to throughout the show. We're glad to have you aboard with us. Okay, let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back and wrap up hour number 1. Tuesday shows powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Of course, go to sunequip.com. That's sunequip.com. All right, it's after further review. We'll knock out our final break here of hour number 1. Stick around.
AFR.
I am so pumped to tell you that my friend Darren James of Darren James & Associates, brokered by LPT Realty, the Real Trends list from the Wall Street Journal, out again. Actually talked to Darren this weekend about it. Told you all last year that Darren James was number 54 in the country. Well, this year Darren James is not number 54 in the country on the Wall Street Journal's Real Trends list of the top 1% of realtors in America. This year, Darren James, number 14 in the country. This isn't subjective. This is objective data based on the number of homes closed. Number 1 in Louisiana, number 14 in America. You want to talk about a dude that hustles, a dude that gets to the closing table? If you're selling your home, why on earth would you call anyone other than the realtor that sells literally more homes than anyone in the state of Louisiana? It's Darren James. 335-7666 or agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property, so retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated.
And one more teeny-weeny ride before I take her home. She thinks my tractor's sexy. It really turns her on. She's all
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
You may not care about if the Chicago Bears get a new football stadium, but I'll tell you very briefly why you should. This only because the Illinois House Speaker, Emmanuel Chris Welch, told WTTW News that the state legislature is not going to put any tax money into a stadium for any pro sports team. The Bears, the White Sox, and the Chicago Red Stars all want a new stadium. Muse, you know who the Chicago Red Stars are?
I don't.
You call yourself a sports talker.
Let me guess. Let me guess. I was just about to Google it and I didn't. Major League Lacrosse.
No.
Oh.
The National Women's Soccer League. Muse missing a question. Par for the course. How about that there, Muse?
That was a really hard question.
Not if you know who the Chicago Red Stars are, then that's really easy.
I couldn't name you one team in that league.
I didn't even know that was a league, to be honest with you. Anyway, the Bears, here's why you should care. The Super Bowl is going to be in New Orleans this year, right? When New Orleans hosts this year, it will tie Miami for the most Super Bowls hosted of all time. New Orleans has not hosted a Super Bowl since the 2012 season when the Ravens and Joe Flacco beat the Niners and Colin Kaepernick. That was when Beyonce knocked out the power with her halftime show. Awesome moment. But that's been 12 years. So it's been a dozen years since New Orleans hosted because every freaking city that builds a new stadium gets a freaking Super Bowl. We've seen a Super Bowl in Indianapolis, for God's sake. New York City had a cold weather outdoor Super Bowl. How stupid is that? The Bay Area got a Super Bowl, even though the friggin' stadium is 45 minutes from San Francisco. They had a Super Bowl in Minnesota. Atlanta got a new stadium, a new Super Bowl because they built a new stadium. We had it in L.A., Vegas. Yeah, you build a new stadium, you get a Super Bowl. So anyway, if Chicago builds a new stadium, you know they're going to have a freaking snow ice bowl there in Chicago. So good riddance. Don't build a new stadium. Keep playing that dump right there on Lake Michigan that's been there since 1924 or whatever it is. Keep playing that awful stadium. Don't build a new stadium. Keep being a miserable place to play football in January and February, and then never have a Super Bowl. Go there so it'll come back to New Orleans more often. That's why you should care. All right. It's after further review. We're brought to you by Parrish Construction and Roofing, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Great news today. By the way, I hear literally as we're sitting here, the thunder rolling. And if you look at the radar, there are torrential storms. Like on the radar, there's like the red cells that are coming over this area. So everybody be safe. But as I mentioned to you all the time, if you have an issue with your roof, give us a shout. There's two ways to find out if you got roof damage. You can either call us and let us come do a free, no obligation roofing inspection, or you can wait till it rains, you get water in your house, and then you're calling us because you got spots on your ceiling or there's leaks coming down. One of those is better than the other, so give us a shout at parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. When you go to the website, you'll see the Fortified logo. I've told you about this for a couple of years now. So Fortified is a roofing program to add extra layers of protection to your roof. And if you install a fortified roof, you can get as much as a 50, as much, depending on your insurance provider, as much as a 50% discount on your insurance if you have a fortified roof. Well, the state has rolled out fortified roofing programs. They've actually added another $15.5 million to the state's fortified roofing program. So it's a great time. If you're thinking about a new roof, if it's about that time, this is the time, and make sure you ask about a fortified roof when you give us a shout at Parish Construction and Roofers. ParishBuilt.com, ParishBuilt.com, or call us. Same number we've had for the last 3.5 years at 364-1007, servicing the entire state of Louisiana. So no matter where you are, we'd love to help you out. ParishBuilt.com. That's ParishBuilt.com. All right, it's after further review. SportsCenter's coming up, and when we come back after SportsCenter, we will run through a roster outlook for 2025 for LSU baseball. Jay Johnson was asked after the game how he'll remember this season. Here's what he said.
My heart's full right now. Like I said, I'm sad. I'm really sad. I'd give anything to practice on Wednesday and get ready for a super regional at home. But it's because of these guys. The resiliency. You coach long enough, you can understand maybe why we were where we were, a little better than the average person. But to come out of it, nobody does that. In terms of how I'll remember this, I'm good. I got all the peace in the world right now about what these guys did, and I'm so proud of them.
A game sometimes comes down to just a few decisions that a coach makes. And, for Jay Johnson, there's a couple that we could talk about with LSU and North Carolina. The decision to start Sam Dutton, which obviously didn't work out. But, man, Will Helmers erased all of that, and you went to the ninth inning with a lead. You could talk about the decision to pinch hit Ethan Fry for Ashton Larson. Well, you got a righty against the lefty, but it took Larson out of the game, which realigned your defense. So Brown was in right instead of Larson on the ball that he missed in the 10th. There's some of those things, and sometimes they go your way and sometimes they don't. But as I always say, if you have sound logic for the decision you make, then you can live with the result. And Jay Johnson sounds like he's quite at peace with it. All right, hour 2 after SportsCenter.
AFR.
Brought to you by Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service. Hey, look, I keep reminding you that the summer months are here, and of course everybody travels during the summer, or if you travel during the summer, I should say. You're going to load up the family grocery getter, as Terrio would call it, and run down to the beach or whatever it may be. Make sure you're protecting your family by having the best tires on the road. And the place you go is Shaw Bills. There's nowhere else to go. There's not even worth considering anything else. Because Shaw Bills is going to sell you the best tires at the cheapest price. They guarantee it. Buy tires at Shaw Bills. If you find those tires advertised somewhere cheaper, they'll refund you 125% of the difference. That's part of the Charlie's Dozen. A dozen benefits to doing business with Shaw Bills. So it's going to be cheaper than the membership clubs, the box stores, the other tire stores. They're the best. That's why they've been around now for almost 60 years. Go to ShawBillsTire.com. You want to shop tires or schedule service before you hit the road this summer. Make sure your vehicle's in tip-top shape. Shaw Bills can help. Shaw Bills, where we keep you rolling.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $11,000 off the new 23 Dodge Charger. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $11,000 off the powerful new Charger. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Once again, the NFL running back market reset by Christian McCaffrey. 2-year extension with the 49ers. According to ESPN's Adam Schefter, it averages $19 million per year. Receiver Brandon Ayuk seeking a contract extension, absent from the start of mandatory minicamp today. Receiver CeeDee Lamb also wants an extension, a no-show for day one of Cowboys minicamp. He's only part of Dallas's extension quandary, along with quarterback Dak Prescott and linebacker Micah Parsons. The order of who's most deserving of an extension is clear to ESPN NFL analyst Booger McFarland.
This is really, really easy. Dak Prescott is priority number one. Micah Parsons is priority number two. And CeeDee Lamb, although he is a really, really good player, probably a top 10 receiver, on this team, the way it's currently constructed, he will be number 3 for me.
Booger McFarland on First Take. Major League Baseball has banned Padres infielder Tucupita Marcano from the sport for life for betting on baseball. At various times in 2022 and 2023 when he was with the Pirates organization, he's the first active MLB player in 100 years banned for life due to gambling.
As humans, we like having options. One option you might like is speaking with a real person when you call about your credit card. With 24/7 live, U.S.-based customer service from Discover, everyone can talk to a real person anytime, day or night. Limitations apply. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona. And here we go. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
A long cord on these headphones. It's all tangled up. Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt. Hey, shut up, kid. I'm not in the mood today. LSU baseball season ended. I'm pissed off. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
And Mr. Toby Tumbley. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. We actually have a lot of football talk this hour. NFL quarterback rankings over at Pro Football Focus. An interesting look at who one outlet thinks is going to be the biggest impact transfer for LSU this year, and I actually agree. So we'll get to that, but tons of baseball talk. The LSU baseball season came to an end on Monday. They lose to North Carolina 4-3 in 10 innings. It's one that's going to sting for a long time. It was a mostly disappointing season, but a team that started to realize its potential and play its best when it mattered most. And you did all the heavy lifting by winning the 2 games on Sunday. That was the hard part. winning 2 games in one day, 2 elimination games in one day, but you did it. And you put all the pressure on North Carolina, and you had the lead going into the 9th. You were 3 outs away, and you came up short. So I get why that stings. But for LSU now, the attention turns to next year and 2025, and it's premature. We were hoping we would be previewing a super regional with North Carolina. But instead, now it's all about who's back next year, who's gone, what holes do you have, where do you hit in the portal, what young prospects coming in as freshmen will be here for LSU. So that's really what you turn to. So I kind of broke this down, and I'm not just going to throw out a bunch of numbers, because I know that's sometimes hard to translate if you're listening to us on radio or podcast. But I want to run through the basic sort of structure if you're Jay Johnson and the staff and Terry Rooney, of how you're looking at this offseason and how many roster spots and what you have to look forward to for next year. So by my count, there are 7 players from this team that are out of eligibility. Alex Milazzo, Hayden Travinski, Ben Napolt, Mac Bingham, Nate Ackenhausen, Will Helmers, Christian Little. Those 7 are out of eligibility. So you're losing those 7 players. A mixed bag of success with those guys. All have had key moments in their careers for different reasons. But those 7 are gone. You're going to lose 4 guys to the draft, 4 underclassmen to the draft. Holman, Jump, Hurd, and White. Those 4 are gone. There is no chance that any of those 4 return to school. They're all going to be drafted. They're going to sign pro deals, and they're going to go make a lot of money. So that's 11. The 7 out of eligibility, the 4 that are going to be drafted. And we know of 3 players that have entered the portal. Micah Bucknam, Austin Rolig, and I'm not sure if it's been reported yet, but Zeb Ruddle's entering the portal as well. So the 7 out of eligibility, the 4 that we know are going to the draft, the 3 that have already hit the portal. That's 14. And please keep in mind, I got another category of players with decisions to make. And I'm going to go through them one by one to explain where each of those guys is. But understand the entered the portal category. Like, there's a bunch more non-contributors that are going to file into there as well and leave the program. Like, we're understanding that. I'm just not going to go through all of them. I think a lot of those names we know. And we'll just let it all transpire as it does. So, by my account, there's 3 players that have a draft decision to make, a legitimate draft decision to make. It's Jared Jones, Michael Braswell, and Fidel Ulloa. So Jared Jones is a draft-eligible sophomore, and he hit 28 homers this year. My assertion in having conversations with different people in scouting organizations is that somebody's going to take Jared Jones and pay him $1 million, and if someone offers Jared Jones $1 million, he should sign. And you could say, well, maybe Jared Jones should come back to school and try to increase his draft stock. Well, maybe. And that's not a terrible idea, except for the fact that if you look at Jared Jones, you say, where is the opportunity for him to improve? Like when scouts are projecting baseball players, they're looking for 5 tool guys. Power, average, glove, arm, speed, the 5 tools. Well, Jared Jones is going to be a first baseman. He's not playing anywhere else. So the glove and the arm and the speed aren't there, and they're not going to be and they don't have to be. It's really, can you hit for power and average? He's going to be a two-tool guy. Well, the power is there. We know it's there. I guess he could come back and hit for average, and maybe that helps a little bit. But, if you look at Jared Jones, I mean, if you're looking at 7-figure slot values, the last pick that's a 7-figure pick of a slot value is pick number 77. It's the 3rd pick of round 3. The White Sox have that pick, and the Rockies have that pick, and the slot value is $1.011 million. Do you think Jared Jones is going to go somewhere in the top 77 picks? And even if he goes a little further down than that, is there a team that might manipulate their draft pool to pay him $1 million? I think yes. I think he has a decision to make. He could certainly come back. God, I hope he does, because to have that bat back in the lineup would be massive. But he's got a decision to make. Michael Braswell has a decision to make. Now, as a junior, if he comes back to school, he loses all leverage. I've told you this story before, and I don't mind saying it because Kramer sat in the studio and told us this on the record. When Kramer was a junior, he was drafted in round 32 or whatever it was, and was offered somewhere in the neighborhood of the $350,000 range. Came back to school, was drafted in round 4 by the Cardinals, and got half that number. So when you have no leverage, you're a senior sign, and it's basically teams take you knowing they're not going to pay you, and they can manipulate that money to pay someone else, like a Jared Jones. So if Braswell comes back, he's losing all leverage, and he's not going to get paid next year. Now, he may get drafted higher and have a better opportunity to make it through an organization because someone used a high pick on him. But Braswell has that decision to make, and I think he's a borderline draftable player. He led the SEC in errors. The bat came along in SEC play, which was really encouraging, but it's fair to wonder, like, what is his ceiling at this point? And then there's Fidel Ulloa. It's a similar thing. He came from JUCO. He's 96 from the right side, and he's probably a guy that is going to sign. He's going to get picked because he's 96 and nasty and has a really cool handlebar mustache. So my guess is Fidel Ulloa is going to sign. He'll go somewhere in the top 10 rounds and sign. The most interesting part of this roster for Jay Johnson as he starts to look to next year are the guys who have decisions to make. And by my count, I'll rattle off the list to you. Herring, Kling, Guidry, Neal, Cam Johnson, Lohr, Dutton, Moffitt. Those guys are the ones that are going to be interesting. Griffin Herring is a draft-eligible sophomore. He could go into the draft. He could return to LSU, or he could transfer. Well, why would he transfer? Well, Griffin Herring, if he comes back to college, he's going to want to be a starter. That everybody wants to be a starter because starters get drafted higher than relievers do. Starters make more money than relievers do. Well, look at LSU next year. If Herring comes back, you've got Herring, Cade Anderson, Cam Johnson, Shea Shores coming off of injury, and you better bet your life LSU's going to go sign a starting pitcher in the portal. Just like they did 2 years ago with Skeens, or last year with Skeens, and they did this year, and Hurd, and this year they did with Jump and Holman. So, yeah, they're going to go in the portal and sign a starting pitcher or two. So does Herring want to come back and compete for an opportunity to be a starter? Or does he transfer somewhere where he's guaranteed to be a starter and he's going to be in somebody's rotation every week? Or does he sign a pro contract? That's the decision Griffin Herring has to make. Brady Neal, similarly, 2 years at LSU, he's been a platoon catcher. Brady Neal's from Tallahassee, Florida. There have been whispers about Neal transferring possibly to Florida State or somewhere in the ACC or closer to home where he's going to be guaranteed to go be the everyday catcher. With Milazzo and Travinsky leaving, you would think he'd slide in there. You've got Blaze Priester committed in this class or signed in this class already. I believe LSU is going to go get a catcher out of the portal as well. Does Brady Neal come back for an opportunity to compete for the starting job, or does he go somewhere where he's going to start? I don't know. Again, I'm not telling you what's going to happen. I'm just saying these are players who are going to have decisions to make. Same with Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson passed on a lot of money to come here. Wasn't on the postseason roster. Does he go somewhere, went to IMG? Does he go back to Florida State, where he's guaranteed to be in the rotation? Maybe. Again, that's a guy that's going to have a decision to make. And then Paxton Kling. Kling is a guy that was started 40 games this year. By the end of the season, was basically a defensive replacement and a pinch runner. Paxton Kling is the opposite of Mac Bingham. Bingham hit 360 last year at Arizona in the Pac-12. He came to the SEC. He had 100 points lower. It's different here. Paxton Kling has not been able to hit SEC pitching. So does Paxton Kling transfer to somewhere in the American? Does he go play at Tulane, start every day in center field and hit 300 against American pitching? Maybe. And maybe that's the best path for him. Because I got news for you, Coach. Jake Brown's going to be your center fielder next year, and he should be. So Maybe Paxton Kling leaves, but that's a decision he's got to make. Does he come back and compete? But I know you've got Larson, Brown, and Pearson back next year. That's your starting outfield, barring something unforeseen. And then there's Gavin Guidry. A lot of people have asked, is Gavin Guidry going to play on the infield? No. No, he's not. He hasn't played infield in 2 years, hasn't taken a competitive bat in 2 years. That's not going to happen. So Guidry can come back to LSU as a reliever again, or he can transfer somewhere and try to play middle infield and hit, or try to be a two-way guy somewhere else. Like, maybe that's an option for him. He's also a draft-eligible sophomore, although I don't know what the draft prospects are for Gavin Guidry at this point, who's been essentially a back end of the game reliever for LSU. But again, a guy who's going to have a decision to make this offseason. What do you want to do? And then there's the pitcher. Lore's a lefty, obviously, who's a junior, could come back, could take it, throw his hat in the draft. Dutton's a guy who, early in his career got some starting opportunities, but he's been, seldom used. Aiden Moffitt, again, is a strong arm righty, just finished up his second year, hasn't pitched very much. Does he go somewhere where he's going to get more of an opportunity? Those are all guys with decisions to make this offseason. I can say this for certain. There are 5 guys that were contributors this year, 5 that I guarantee are going to be back next year. Cade Anderson, Stephen Milam, Jake Brown, Ashton Larson, and Josh Pearson. Now, and Pearson's even a bit of an asterisk. I don't think Pearson is a draftable prospect. And so he'll be back, and his brother will be here next year. And that'll be really cool for those two to get to play, the opportunity to play together. But I expect those 5 is where I would start. Cade Anderson's back, Milam, Brown, Larson, Pearson. Everybody else is out of eligibility, signing in the draft, has entered the portal or will enter the portal. And then there's, those guys, the 8-10 guys I mentioned that all have a tough decision to make. Now, I'm not Herring, Kling, Guidry, Neal, Cam Johnson, Lore, Dutton, Moffitt, those 8. I'm not saying you're losing all of them, and I'm not saying all of them are back. It's going to be some mix with that group. But getting the answer to those questions and re-recruiting your roster among that group will give Jay Johnson a much better sense of who's going to be on his team next year and what positions he has to attack in the portal. My guess is he already has a really good idea about most of it. But that's the outlook for LSU for 2025. Okay, it's after further review. Got questions, comments you want to get in, you can. Email us, tweet us, text us in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Let me knock out a quick break. Pro Football Focus updated their quarterback rankings for 2024. Where is Derek Carr? We'll talk about it next on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Boy, it is storming outside, but when the clouds part and the sun shines, it is just a beautiful time. It is a beautiful time to be outside. Before the sweltering heat, it's hot, but before the sweltering heat comes day after day after day, what a great time to get outside. Get some exercise, get some sun, get some vitamin D. Get in the garden and just plant something. Get your hands in the dirt. Get to grounding, some earthing. Get that vitamin D from the sun. Get some exercise. Plant some flowers, trees, shrubs. Take care of your outdoor space. They can help you at Clegg's Nursery. If you don't have the know-how, no worries. They do. Get by any of the 4 locations. Siegen near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. I've been telling y'all. They've been around for more than 60 years. So buy local, shop local, and be sure to tell them Matt sent you in when you go see our friends today at Clegg's Nursery.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Larry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you.
She thinks my tractor's sexy. Well, she ain't into cars or pickup trucks, but if it runs...
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Hey, remember our friends over at Sunshine are giving away that John Deere Gator with the LSU decals all over it. They're going to be doing that at the Vanderbilt game this fall. All of the proceeds benefit 4-H, so make sure you get by the website, sunequip.com. That's sunequip.com to buy your raffle tickets. And you can win that Gator that Condon and I were driving around. By the way, it's FFA and 4-H, by the way. Excuse me. FFA and 4-H benefiting from that raffle. So go buy your tickets at sunequip.com. You see pictures of the Gator as well. Whenever we talk Saints, everyone knows how I feel. You know how I feel by now about Dennis Allen. You know how I feel about Derek Carr. You know how I feel about the state of the organization. There is zero ambiguity. Nobody should be confused about my feelings about the New Orleans Saints. So I'm not going to sit here and just belabor the point of how I feel. You know how I feel. Dennis Allen is a lieutenant, not a general. Great defensive mind, terrible head coach. Derek Carr at his absolute best, borders on a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, but he's nowhere near his best. He is not even close to that, as a matter of fact. And I think the Saints are going to miss the playoffs for the 4th consecutive year. You know how I feel. What I'm going to do throughout this offseason is continue to point out third-party and objective rankings, data, metric, numbers that speak to this Saints team for 2024. And this is something that popped up last week. Pro Football Focus is going through their position rankings. So they're ranking the players by position in the NFL. And I intended to get to this last week, and it slipped through the cracks. But I want to circle back to it now because PFF released their quarterback ranking. So they ranked all 32 starters ahead of the NFL season. Number 1 on the list is no surprise. It's Patrick Mahomes. We all know that. Mahomes is number 1, and number 2 is Lamar Jackson. So you got a couple of MVPs right there. Mahomes is alone at 1, Lamar Jackson 2. There's Joe Burrow at number 3. So tons of respect for Burrow there, even despite his injury-plagued early career. 4 is Josh Allen. 5, Justin Herbert with the Chargers. Dak, Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, Hurts at 9. And rounding out the top 10 is C.J. Stroud after his magnificent rookie season. So that's your top 10. Clearly, Derek Carr, not in the top 10. I'm not gonna bury the lead. Number 20 is Baker Mayfield on this list. And then one spot after Baker Mayfield is where we find Derek Carr, who is one spot ahead of Russell Wilson. So 2021-22 is Mayfield, Derek Carr, Russell Wilson. Your starting quarterback is sandwiched between Baker Mayfield and Russell Wilson, who Denver just ate, $70 million to get rid of him? You're one tick ahead of that guy, according to Pro Football Focus. Now, I'm going to be honest. Again, I say it all the time. Pro Football Focus is not the metric. It's a metric. It's something to be considered. It's not the be-all, end-all of all these metrics. Now, what was really interesting to me is who else was after Derek Carr. Let's run through the list. Russell Wilson at 22. Deshaun Watson at 23. Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, the combination of Jacoby Brissett and Drake May. Jaden Daniels at 27, rookie. Will Levis at 28, second-year player. Daniel Jones at 29. Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew for the Raiders at 30. 31 is J.J. McCarthy, Sam Darnold with the Vikings. And dead last, Jarrett Stidham, Bo Nix with the Broncos. That enormous pile of average to suck is the only thing separating Derek Carr with the bottom of the league. Of the remaining 11 quarterbacks, 8 are either rookies or second-year players, and the other 3 are Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, and Daniel Jones. That's what the metrics say about your starting quarterback. It's almost unfathomable to think that the New Orleans Saints have invested $150 million guaranteed into Derek Carr. So I got to thinking, 4 years, $150 million with $100 million guaranteed. How else could you blow $100 million? Yeah, $100 million, burning a hole in your pocket. You could spend it on Derek Carr. Or, you know what you could do? Do what Steve Wynn did. You know, Wynn Hotels. Went and bought a $100 million home in Aspen. Gorgeous property, by the way. I don't know, that seems a lot better than Derek Carr. Put a car in the many garages at the home there in Aspen for Steve Wynn. Speaking of cars, Muse, would you drive a Lamborghini?
I would, yeah, 100%.
Lamborghinis cost $229K. You know what that means, Muse? It means you could buy 436 Lamborghinis. That's what you could do with $100 million. You know what you could do, Muse? You could get every member of the Saints team. Mrs. B could have bought every member of the Saints team 9 Lambos. Everybody, 1 to 53. Everybody gets 9 Lambos. That's what you could do
that would
with
help
$100
team
million.
morale.
You into art?
Not really.
No, not really into art. You ever heard of Picasso?
I've heard of him, though, yeah.
Pablo Picasso has a painting called La Peine Agile. I think I said that right, maybe not. That thing's valued at $100 million from 1904. You could buy a Picasso from 1904 for $100 million, Muse. You could do that. Or you could set a match to $100 million and sign Derek Carr. How about this? You into sports memorabilia?
Yeah, I like that a lot.
What's your favorite piece of sports memorabilia?
Like, of my own?
Yeah, let me know.
So, some signed baseballs that I have, for sure.
Awesome, sounds great. The top 10 pieces of sports memorabilia of all time. 1952 Mickey Mantle card, $12.6 million. The 1998 Michael Jordan NBA Finals Bulls jersey, $10 million. A Diego Maradona Hand of God jersey, $9.3 million. That's an ad that just rolled through. The Olympic Games manifesto, $8.8 million. A Messi World Cup match-worn shirt, $7.8 million. The Honus Wagner T206, $7.25. A 1914 Babe Ruth rookie, $7.2. Ali's Rumble in the Jungle Belt, $6.2. Kobe Bryant's 2007-2008 Lakers jersey, $5.8. And a Ruth jersey from 1928 at $5.6 million. The top 10 most valuable pieces of sports memorabilia ever, Muse. You could buy them all and still have $19.4 million left. That's what you could do. You know what else you could do?
What else
You into the WNBA there, Muse?
Not really.
Oh, you should be.
Okay.
You know the chick that hip checked Caitlin Clark that everybody's all pissed off about?
Yeah.
You know who she plays for?
The Chicago Sky.
Yep. You could buy the entire Chicago Sky organization for $85 million. You could buy the team, Muse.
Wow.
Mrs. B could buy the team and have $15 million left over. Buy a few Lambos with that.
Could.
Or some of that sports memorabilia.
Could.
Or you could set it on fire by signing Derek Carr to a $100 million contract. That's what you could do.
You could.
Got a few other ideas for you.
All right.
My wife's the biggest Swiftie in the world.
Yeah,
you know what I might be able to do?
What's that?
How about a private Taylor Swift concert?
Ooh.
Could I bring Tay-Tay to the house? Have her playing a little acoustic set out back by the pool?
She'd probably do that for $100 million.
$100 million?
Yeah, probably.
Get E-Rock and maybe one or two friends out there? Invite my nieces. They think I'm the coolest in the world, if that were the case.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
I think she'd do that for $100 million.
Remember that movie, National Treasure, where Nicolas Cage stole the Declaration of Independence?
Yeah, I do
$100 million
remember that,
bucks.
yeah.
You could bankroll the third sequel of that awful movie series. Hey, you know how they've been talking about that stupid train to go from Baton Rouge to New Orleans for like a decade, maybe 2 decades? Hey, we're going to build a commuter train. So you don't have to drive down I-10. You don't have to go over the spillway. No, don't worry about that. Just get on this train right between Baton Rouge and New Orleans. $100 million bucks. Build that thing. We can build that line. That would actually be a productive way to contribute to our society.
That wouldn't be more expensive than $100 million?
Work with me, Muse.
All right, sorry.
Hey, remember that home I told you about in Aspen?
Yeah.
Steve Wynn's home?
I do.
You remember where Dumb and Dumber was shot, don't you?
I do.
Where was it?
Aspen.
Little place called Aspen.
How
about you go spend a weekend with Lloyd Christmas and Harry Dunn?
I'm in.
Handing out handing out hundos as tips to everybody. How about that? Here you go. Wiping your nose at the Bell South commercial with $100 bills as tissues. You can do that. You know what else you can do?
What's that?
You can sign Bobby Bonilla to a 100-year contract.
Oh, man. Bobby Bonilla catching strays still.
That's not a stray. The Mets are catching the stray.
That's fair.
Bonilla's brilliant. Bonilla hadn't played a baseball game in, 20 years? He still gets $1 million a year because of the way he negotiated his deal. That's brilliant by Bobby Bonilla. He took the annuity instead of don't give me the lump sum. Give me the annuity. Gets $1 million a year forever. Sign Bobby Bonilla to a 100-year contract with $100 million. That's what you could do. Or you could sign Derek Carr. You know what? Tell you one thing, though. One of the quarterbacks that Derek Carr's ahead of, Deshaun Watson, who the Browns paid $230 million to.
Cleveland.
I guess it could be worse. You could be Cleveland.
Cleveland's the anus of America. It's the booty.
Thank you, Channing Crowder. It's After Further Review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. We're brought to you by Parish Restoration. This is not a joke, and I don't mean to be confusing you if I have. But for several years, I've told you about Mold Zero, their patented non-toxic dry fog. They rebranded to Pure Restoration. Well, a short time ago, my partners, Richard Tilley, Ryan Terrio with Parish Construction and Roofing, they partnered with Jim Woodworth, and they've rebranded the company to Parish Restoration. So it's the same product, the patented non-toxic dry fog treatment. So if you go to the website, parishbuilt.com, hit the restoration tab. You'll see right there on the homepage, parishbuilt.com, hit the restoration tab. You can see all the info. You could learn about the mold remediation, demo, build back, the patented non-toxic dry fog, why it's more effective than a wet fog. Makes sense though, right? I mean, it's why you don't have to cut sheetrock or pull things out of your home. They come in, they spray. As soon as the fog dissipates, boom, mold-free, clean smelling. They recently fogged one of the largest buildings in the state of Louisiana. It's about 250,000 square foot building they recently fogged. Pretty incredible. From a single-family residential all the way up to literally the largest commercial building in the state. It's Parish Restoration. Again, go to parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Hit the restoration tab, and you'll see all the info there, how you can get in touch and get that estimate. Get rid of mold, odor, other harmful pathogens. Do it all. It's Parish Restoration. Again, I promise I'm not trying to confuse you. It's like 3 days. That's like 3 different names in a year. I apologize for that, but it's not my fault. It's actually a great thing. They'll continue to expand their services all under one umbrella. Parish Restoration. Parishbuilt.com. Parishbuilt.com. Okay, it's after further review. Thanks for being here with us. We got a lot of baseball still to get to. We opened up the show today, if you're just joining us. We opened up the show with my thoughts on LSU's loss to North Carolina, so if you want to catch that on demand, you can. We opened up this hour with my 2025 roster outlook. I went through guys who are out of eligibility, guys who have a draft decision to make, guys who we expect to return, all that sort of stuff. So that's at the top of hour 2. In about half an hour from right now, I do want to go through what went wrong for this LSU team for the bulk of the year and how they fix it. So we're going to get to that here in about 30 minutes from right now. Let me knock out a quick break. I do have a little more LSU football I want to touch on, and we'll do that when we come back. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Glow Resources, GLO, glowresources.com. Glow Resources, they are complete employer solutions, whether it's skilled blue-collar labor, if it's white-collar workers, C-level management. Our friends over at Glow Resources are perfect at finding the perfect employee for your business. You know, the thing about Glow Resources, when you as the business owner, you're focused on your business. Glow Resources is focused on hiring. That's what they do. Glow Resources conducts 50 interviews a day across all their offices. Over 15,000 interviews in a year. I mean, think about it. Even if you hire a lot, how many interviews do you conduct in a day, a week, a month, a year? They do 15,000. It's why they're able to find the most qualified people and why they have a 93% retention rate. It's Glow Resources. Online, GLO, glowresources.com.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, Muse will get Tigers and the pros here in about 10 minutes from right now. A CBS Sports put out a list, and I get it. Not a list guy. And I guess since baseball season's over now, we can dust off the drop, Muse. It is, in fact, well, you know what? We can dust off the feigned indignance drop, even though this isn't really indignance on my behalf. I actually agree with what they put. But anyway, hit it, Muse.
And now it's time for Feigned Indignance from Sports Talk Radio Guy over random summertime sports lists.
It is the time when sports writers and websites all over the country, as they move through the summer, in order to generate content and conversation around their content, start putting out lists that mean absolutely nothing. And CBS Sports put together a piece where they talked about who they thought would be the instant impact transfers in the SEC. And some of them are pretty obvious. Guys like Walter Nolan at Ole Miss, Isaiah Bond at Texas. You get the story. But what they did was they went and listed one from every school in the SEC that they thought would be the most impactful transfer. And the guy they listed for LSU, I actually wholeheartedly agree. They said Jordan Gilbert, the safety from Texas A&M. Now, the quick write-up is LSU needs all the help it can get on defense after a poor 2023 that resulted in coordinator Matt House's ouster. Gilbert gives Blake Baker, House's replacement, an effective safety with plenty of high-level SEC experience after he started 10 games at Texas A&M a year ago. All right. Undeniably, there are more exciting transfers. Like C.J. Daniels from Liberty, a 1,000-yard receiver a year ago. Xavion Thomas, a kid from New Orleans who went to Mississippi State, who's probably going to factor in prominently in the return game. There are more exciting transfers. And the more noteworthy that we've talked about are the defensive tackles, because we spent all offseason talking about LSU's ability or inability to recruit and sign transfer defensive tackles. Well, you landed Gio Paez and JVR Suggs, and so I get that there's other players that people are going to want to talk about. But while Jordan Gilbert may not be your highest-rated transfer, and he may not even finish the season statistically as your best transfer, I think he is absolutely your most important transfer. A couple of things first on Gilbert. As a freshman at A&M, he played in 12 games. As a sophomore in 2022, he started 10, played in 11. Last year, he started 2 games, then missed the rest of the season with injury. So over 3 years, he's played in 25 games with 12 starts, including playing immediately as a freshman in every game in College Station. Understand a year ago, and you don't need me to remind you of this, but just for the sake of the conversation, LSU's pass defense was 118th in America. 118 in all of college football. Your safeties were Andre Sam and Major Burns. And we knew game 1, when Andre Sam was taking bad angles against Florida State's receivers, that dude couldn't play at this level. And God bless him. I'm not trying to call out Andre Sam, but there's a reason he was a McNeese, Marshall, Tulane guy and not a, hey, you're a freshman 4-star going to Texas A&M guy. Just a different level of athlete. Jordan Gilbert is that level of athlete. He is already a massive upgrade physically and athletically from what you had. The other reason this is impactful, Blake Baker has been a defensive coordinator in the SEC for 2 years, the last 2 at Missouri. And Blake Baker coaches linebackers. So we have focused a ton, and rightfully so, on what Blake Baker is going to be able to do for Harold Perkins and Greg Penn, and that is the right conversation to be having. He is a linebackers coach. That is his position he focuses on. Harold Perkins is a potential first-round draft pick. He's your best defensive player, and you got to maximize him. So I get all the reasons why we're talking about linebacker with Blake Baker. Can he make Greg Penn into the next Damone Clark? Maybe, we'll see. But in 2 years at Missouri, you know who was the leading tackler at Missouri in 2022, Blake Baker's first year? It was Jalen Carlisle, a safety. Their 4th leading tackler was also a safety. That was 2022. Last year in 2023, the top 2 tacklers on Missouri's defense, A Missouri team that won 10 games and won the Cotton Bowl. The top 2 tacklers were safeties. So, yeah, Blake Baker, linebackers. Missouri, when you think about Missouri the last couple years, you think about Isaiah McGuire, you think about Darius Robinson. Yes, that's right. And you need those big physical edge rushers, the good defensive linemen. You need the active linebackers. But the guys that made the most plays on that defense the last 2 years at Missouri have been safeties. So, yeah, going from what you had a year ago to Jordan Gilbert, Sage Ryan in a more natural position, and Major Burns at that star position, yeah, I think you're better. So while we may spend more time wondering about, hey, is C.J. Daniels going to be a 1,000-yard receiver? Is Xavier Thomas going to return punts? Could Gio Paez be a starter? Is JVR Suggs a rotational guy? We're talking about other transfers. We might even talk about the punter now, who they got from Louisiana Tech, because you need a punter. The guy that may actually, by the end of the year, be the most impactful is Jordan Gilbert, because Blake Baker needs his safeties to be great in this defense very clearly. He is an immediate, massive upgrade athletically and in experience, and you were atrocious in your secondary a year ago, and he makes you better at a position of need. So this ain't feigned indignance. I agree wholeheartedly. The most impactful SEC transfer that LSU got this year, Jordan Gilbert. We'll see if it plays out. All right, we're brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Love telling you about Brandon Holly and the gang. Energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank vinyl siding. They do it all. Remember, over at Relief Windows, when they install these energy-efficient windows, the benefit is they reduce costly air leaks. So when your AC is churning round the clock, remember, you don't. If you have leaky windows, that's costing you money. That is figuratively money going right out of the window. So install these energy-efficient windows that are customized for the exact specifications of your home. Reduce those costly air leaks. Reduce your energy bills. Stay more energy efficient during the summer and save money and time. This is an investment into your home that'll pay for itself. It's Relief Windows. Windows, door siding, Relief Windows, and ReliefWindows.com. Okay, y'all. You still have Tigers in the pros when we come back to wrap up hour number 2. And in about 15 minutes, we'll circle back to LSU baseball. I've told you my thoughts on the game against North Carolina to open hour number 1. We looked at the 2025 roster outlook to open up hour number 2. When we come back, I want to talk about what I feel went wrong for LSU this year and how they fix it. That's coming up in about 15 minutes. Muse has Tigers in the pros next.
AFR.
Action Industries, proud partner of LSU Athletics. Of course, congratulating Jay Johnson and the Tigers on a really exciting run late there. But Action Industries, local, since 1942, servicing the petrochemical and refinery markets. Look, their safety record over at Action Industries beats the industry standard. The exemplary work they do has been commended for decades. It's why they keep getting hired in these plants by some of the biggest companies in the world. It's Action Industries. Now, sometimes also, you may have like one of these mega projects going on. And if you need skilled labor, they can help supplement those mega projects for you as well. So it's worth a call. If it's the fabrication shop services, if it's exchanger tube cleaning, if it's supplementing your mega projects, it's Action Industries. They're just the best, and they're local with 2 locations, Geismar and Belrose. Action Industries. Check them out.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Just look at her face. She ain't a fooling me. She thinks my tractor's sexy.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Garrett Pizzolata said, how much weed could Musso buy with $100 million? Hashtag Weed Bros.
The hashtag of Weed Bros. Good Lord.
Well, I mean, Muse, you did out yourself. I mean,
No,
you
I
said your
didn't.
buddies were calling you, talking about Weed Bros and all that stuff.
It's because you called them that.
You volunteered it on air that you texted about it with your friends. I mean, not related to the show whatsoever.
It is related to the show because you coined that phrase.
Tybers Hurt said, honestly, I'd rather sign you and Musso to lifetime contracts to this show and the three of us rotate the quarterback position for the Saints for $100 million than pay Derek Carr $1 million. Well, obviously, Tybers, because if that were the case, then we'd be splitting $100 million.
Yeah,
of course.
And that was actually kind of a really confusing way to word that, I feel like.
Yeah.
But okay.
And what did it have to do with us being signed to lifetime contracts for the show? By the way, I have a lifetime contract for this show. I mean, I hate to break it to you. Like, they'll let me sit here as long as I want to sit here. I mean, as long as I don't, say the things on air you're not supposed to say. You know what I mean?
The 7 dirty words you can't say on
Not
radio
even that.
or
Like, I
television?
could get away with that.
Yeah.
I mean, T-Bob and I get away with that every Saturday on Whiskey and Wine.
That's
it ain't
different,
that.
though.
It don't matter. It ain't that. You know, it's the thing that gets you canceled.
Yeah, I know what you
If
got.
you say something that gets you canceled. That's why I just never talk about politics, ever. I hate whatever. All right, Musso, Tigers in the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
All right, let's start on the diamond. Alex Bregman, another nice night for him and the Astros. Just 1 for 4, but it was a pretty big one. Bottom of the 8th.
Stupid uniforms.
Oh, the
too.
Space City Connects? Yeah, they're bad. And awful.
That's the thing you and I agree a lot on, Muse, the unis.
Yeah, we're in lockstep on uniforms pretty often there. Anyway, Bregman, bottom of the 8th. Astros down 1. Solo shot to tie it into the Crawford box. Just an absolute nuke from Breggy. 1 for 4. That makes up his night. 9th home run of the season. 2nd straight game for Alex Bregman with a home run. The Astros would go on to win that game.
A bit.
How about that? Yep. Jake Fraley yesterday, 1-5. Drove in a run. Came around to score as well. Continuing a solid season. Hitting .291 so far for the Cincinnati Reds after dealing with a brief little injury. Kevin Gausman was on the bump yesterday. Rough day for our guy Gosman. 6 1/3, 6 earned on 6 hits. How about 3 home runs given up by Kevin Gosman as well? He was tagged with the loss in that one, as you might imagine. Falls to 4-4 on the season. Joe Burrow missed practice today.
Oh, no.
Yeah. You know, that was the first question asked to Zach Taylor after, and he said, hey, everybody, calm down. He's coming off of an injury. We gave him the day off. He's had one off every week. So no panic.
Yeah,
Joe Burrow's
up.
fine. He's still recovering great, and he's set to practice Wednesday tomorrow.
Shut up, media
Hey,
dorks.
last week, we told you about Taryn Cloth and Kristen Nuss winning that gold medal in like 30-mile-per-hour winds.
You're welcome, by the way.
There's something else that wind did for him, Matt. You know what? You know what it did?
No.
It clinched them, or I should say locked up.
Oh, the wind.
The wind.
You said the wind.
Well, the wind was part of the win. But that win locked up the number 2 seed in the upcoming Paris Olympics.
Yeah.
That's Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com. Gentlemen, if you're thinking of popping the question, thrill her with a gift in the red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. If maybe many years ago you popped the question and you gave her a beautiful diamond to profess your love, and now it's years later, maybe it's time for an upgrade. Something that they do offer at Lee Michaels is trades. You can trade in your old ring for an upgrade. So, maybe you got engaged, got hitched young before you were really deep into your career, had a couple extra zeros in the bank account now. Maybe you could profess your love this anniversary with an upgrade. Take that diamond, trade it in at Lee Michaels. They'll give you that value. You can upgrade to a larger, more beautiful diamond, whatever setting that she wants. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Okay, y'all, hour number 3 is coming straight at you. What went wrong for LSU baseball this year? How do they fix it? We're talking about that when we come back right after SportsCenter.
AFR.
Man, I love telling you about South Point Volkswagen every day. And over the last 14 years, it's been 14 years that I've been endorsing South Point. I've driven darn near every model. Well, not darn near. I've driven every model of vehicle that they have at South Point. All of the different Volkswagen models. And one of the reasons that so bullish on South Point and on Volkswagen, of course, South Point's amazing and it's such a great buying atmosphere. You never feel pressured. And when you could see through the Volkswagen TV ads over the years, from like the Star Wars kid and all the fun ads, like driving a Volkswagen is fun. That's the experience you get. And that's the buying experience there as well. You're never pressured. You never feel pressured there ever. That's why I love going in there. But you get all the style, the feel, the performance of luxury without the cost. And you're supporting U.S. jobs because their vehicles are manufactured at the Chattanooga, Tennessee plant. I don't know why you go anywhere else. South Point Volkswagen, Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer, southpointvw.com.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. A lifetime suspension for Major League Baseball for Padres infielder Tucupita Marcano for betting on the sport. Plays bets on games in 2022 and 2023 when he was with the Pirates organization. While Commissioner Rob Manfred's got concerns with gambling, they're not enough to end baseball's partnership with gambling operations and the money made from them. ESPN senior MLB writer Jeff Passan.
To me, if you're really that concerned, if this is a top priority of yours, then you're going to do everything you can, including getting rid of partnerships with these companies. But the league has shown no inclination to do that, and they're happy to throw the players under the bus. And I understand that because the players have free will.
Jeff Passan on Freddie and Harry. San Francisco's Christian McCaffrey has again reset the NFL running back market, signed a 2-year extension. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports it averages $19 million a year. Receiver Brandon Ayuk seeking an extension absent from the start of mandatory minicamp today. Receiver CeeDee Lamb, a no-show for the start of Cowboys minicamp. He's looking for an extension as well.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Make sure your family is well taken care of with life insurance. Protect your phones, laptops, and more with electronic device insurance. And cover your furry friends with pet health insurance.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Sir. And Mr. Toby Tom Plate. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us. A bummer of a day, no doubt. LSU baseball season came to an end on Monday in the regional final, the winner-take-all Game 7, where LSU, as you well know, led going into the 9th inning as the home team. Gage jump on the mound, 3 outs away. Tigers couldn't get it done as Carolina would push across a run in the 9th to tie it, and then they'd win it in the 10th with an error in right field, untimely, and then they came through with the big hit. So LSU falls 4-3, and they head into the offseason wanting to correct things, no doubt. And one of the things that I'll always remember, certainly as long as Jay Johnson is the coach, and maybe longer, is a story he told us here about when they lost to Southern Miss his first year. And I'm paraphrasing here, but Jay came on the show and he said, look, I don't he doesn't go into the offseason and decompress after a loss. He doesn't go on vacation or any of that stuff. Like it's immediately, the only thing he knows how to do is to re-engage and start preparing for next year. And he's told the stories. After they lost in the Hattiesburg Regional his first year, Jay went to his hotel room in Hattiesburg, opened up the portal, saw Paul Skeens was in the portal, and called him immediately. I mean, like, the same night they lost to Southern Miss, he was on the phone with Paul Skeens. Last year, the first thing he did after they got back from winning the national championship was he got on a plane and went to go see Luke Holman and his family with Team USA up in Cary, North Carolina. There ain't no rest for the weary, man. And it's the reason why all the things that went wrong for LSU this year, I'm confident they're going to fix, because you got the right guy at the helm. The guy who is tactical and a maniacal worker and detail-oriented and just outworks and out-recruits everybody. And when you have the resources of a place like LSU paired with that guy, you're always going to have a chance to win, because your roster is going to be as good or better than everybody else's. So with that being the case, I think it's fair to look at this season and say, okay, as we saw near the end, you did have a lot of talent. I mean, Luke Holman, Gage Jump, Thatcher Hurd are all going to end up being top 100 picks. I think Holman and Jump are both going to be top 50 picks. Jared Jones hit 28 bombs. Jake Brown was the best player in Louisiana. Cade Anderson, freshman lefty. I mean, he was the number 2 player in the state of Louisiana. Milam came in as a freshman and contributed right away. Larson came in and contributed. Tommy White's going to be a first-round draft pick. Like, you had clearly had talent on this team. So how did you get to a point where you were 3-12 in the conference at the halfway point, finished 13-17, and went to Hoover needing to win a Tuesday game against Georgia just to feel like you're going to get in? Like, how did things go so wrong to leave you, a very talented team that had, by the way, the number 4 national seed, on the ropes in their home regional, where you were 3 outs away from eliminating them on their home field, doing something to them which hadn't happened all year, hand them back-to-back losses on their home field? How did it go so wrong early? Well, I think navigating roster management in the portal era is something that is a real challenge that Jay Johnson and his staff struggled with this year. Terrio sits in here with us on Fridays. This guy won a national championship, won 2 World Series titles, has been through it all. And he has said this so many times, and he's not alone in this belief. I'm just using it because he has credibility associated with it. The feeling is always you use fall baseball to know what your roster is going to be, who your starting 9 is going to be, who the guys you're going to count on are going to be. Now, guys can develop and get better. For example, Stephen Milam was terrible in the fall. He ended up starting 60 games for you this year. That happens. Braswell was magnificent in the fall, struggled at the start of the season, and ended up becoming one of your best hitters in SEC play. Ashton Larson finished the season as your best hitter in conference play. So, yeah, there's going to be times where you learn things and figure it out. But when you have a roster like LSU does that's so loaded with talent among transfers and signees, and especially in a portal era where if guys don't play, they're a flight risk. How do you build continuity among your starters while keeping talented young players happy? I mean, I think Cam Johnson's a great example of this. Cam Johnson was filthy in the fall. When they played an inter-squad against the Cajuns, he was unfair. In an empty park in the fall, it was great. In front of 10,000 people, he struggled. That's going to take some maturing. Well, if you're Cam Johnson and you passed on millions of dollars to come to campus and you're not even on the postseason roster as a freshman, Are you coming back? Or are you hitting the portal? I don't know. I'm not saying he is, to be very clear. I don't know. But it's something, if you're Jay Johnson, you got to manage. So you can ask yourself, man, Will Helmers was so good. Why didn't Helmers get more innings? Will Helmers clearly was capable of pitching at this level. He showed you last night. But when you got Cam Johnson, who has the much higher ceiling, you got to get him innings. You got to get him experience. So that's the balancing act. Are you playing to win today? Or are you building experience with young, talented guys? Certainly, so you don't risk the possibility of them leaving. That's the challenge Jay and I think everyone faced. I want to illustrate this some. Ashton Larson ended up being your leading hitter in SEC play. He only started 40 games. He didn't become an everyday player until you were a third of the way through the season? More than a third of the way through the season? You had 12 players this year. 12. I mean, you got 9 everyday position players. You had 12 that had more than 20 starts this year. Tommy White was entrenched at third. Jared Jones was entrenched at first. You knew that much. You platooned at catcher. Milam ended up winning the starting second base job, and we know Braswell obviously was your shortstop, although there was a point where Braswell was struggling where they moved him around a little bit. You saw Milam move to short. You saw Kucherak get a run at short. Boy, and you rotated a ton in your outfield with Bingham and Kling and Larson and Brown and Pearson. I mean, Brady Neal played in the outfield at some point this year. Ethan Fry played at some point in the outfield this year. Muso's laughing, but you remember that? You remember that?
I didn't until you just brought it up. But yes, North Dakota State and Mississippi State.
How ridiculous of a notion is that?
It was pretty bad.
Ashton Larson ended up leading your team in hitting in conference play, but you had Brady Neal playing right field. But you got to try to keep these guys happy. I'm telling you earlier, we're hearing whispers Neal is a guy that could hit the portal. He was injured last year. He platooned at catcher this year. Played some right field. That's a challenge. And I'm not saying that Jay Johnson's staff did it wrong or they did it right. But a lot of it didn't work. And it took a long time for this team to build continuity. If you spent the first 3 weeks of the season knowing who your everyday guys were, then you hit the ground running in conference play. And maybe you're not 12-3, but against that schedule where you had to go 2 Tennessee and 2 Arkansas and 2 State, could you have been 8-7? If that's the case, then with the way that you got going in the second half, you're a regional host and you're probably playing baseball this weekend. That's one part of it. Also, you missed in the portal on some guys. Now you hit. Holman and Jump were hits, unequivocally. It took Jump a little while before he really got his groove, but Holman and Jump were unequivocally hits in the portal. But you expected Mac Bingham to give to this team what Gavin Dugas and Hayden Travinsky and Cade Beloso and guys like that did in the past. But you realize Mac Bingham, do you want me to illustrate the difference between the SEC and the rest of college baseball? Last year, Mac Bingham was first team all Pac-12 and hit 360. At LSU this year, he hit 251. He had 100 points lower in this league than in that league. You wonder why Arizona just got bounced by West Virginia? That ain't a good league. You missed on some guys. You brought in Cade Woods. Thought he might be a really good back end of the bullpen guy. He made 3 appearances all year, an inning and 2/3. You just missed on some guys. That's another part of it. So how do you fix it? Well, your rotation next year, you won't have any shortage of options. Shea Shores is back. He throws 100. He should be your Friday night guy next year. Cade Anderson will be back. He'll be in your rotation next year. You're going to sign transfer starting pitchers. That's not even a question. You did it last year with Skeens and Hurd. You did it this year with Holman and Jump. You even signed Justin Lohr, who had started at Xavier, became a bullpen guy for you this year. But you're going to go sign starting pitchers, top-level starting pitchers in the portal. So when you have Shores, Anderson, whatever transfers you sign, theoretically, Cam Johnson, Griffin Herring, you're going to have a ton of arms competing for those weekend roster spots, those weekend rotation spots. Now, your infield, you may be replacing the whole dang infield. Milazzo and Travinsky are gone, White's gone, and Braswell and Jones are going to have decisions to make. Braswell and Jones, I think, very well could end up in the draft. Jones is a draft-eligible sophomore. He had 28 bombs. I think someone's going to draft him, pay him $1 million, and he's going to go. We'll see. I hope he's back. I'm just guessing. It's an educated guess based on some of the scouts I've talked about of where they project Jared Jones. But he's going to, I think someone will call Jared Jones in this draft, offer him 7 figures, and he's going to have to say no. I don't know what he'll do. I don't know what Jared Jones will do. And then Braswell is a borderline draftable player, but if he comes back, he loses all of his leverage. So maybe it's time for him to go. If that happens, the only infielder you return is Milam. So you're turning over your whole infield. Now, your outfield is going to be solid. You're going to have Brown, Larson, and Pearson back next year. Your outfield is going to be great. Your infield, you might be replacing the whole thing except for Milam. And you're going to have a ton of arms to choose from. If it's new guys coming in, guys you have coming back, young guys growing up, or a guy like Shore's coming back off of injury, you're going to have options. And if Nate Yeske is back next year, and I anticipate he should be, although there were whispers when things were not going well, that there were teams in other conferences calling to say, hey, is he going to be available? We got to build on what happened in this final month of the season. And a big part of that is making sure you're building continuity in the fall and in preseason workouts so you're hitting the ground running in the regular season and not trying to figure out who you are well into SEC play. That's what went wrong for this team, by my estimation. And a lot of that is a product of the portal era, where you feel like you've got to keep guys happy or they're going to leave. So how do you balance that? It's an unenviable task, but Jay Johnson is up for it, and he's the guy that gets paid to be tasked with that. I'll tell you this much. In 2025, the expectation is every year here. The baseline is you are hosting a regional. The baseline expectation for this program is you are one of the 16 teams turning your lights on at the end of May and beginning of June hosting a regional. And if you do that, you should always win your regional at home and advance to supers. That's a baseline expectation for this program. I ain't telling you something Jay Johnson don't know. He knows that. And everybody that puts on that jersey knows that at LSU. That's the expectation that comes with being part of a program that's won 7 national championships. That is the standard bearer in this sport. LSU is the standard in college baseball. They all know it. And this was an unacceptable year to go 13-17 and travel for a regional. As fun and exciting as it was at the end, it was unacceptable by the standard this program has. They got to fix it next year. All right. It's after further review. Let me knock out a break. If you want to get in, you can. Email us, tweet us, text us. Lots of ways you can get involved in the show. And by the way, I want to get into this too. I saw something today that floored me with respect to LSU's football schedule next year. There's a team on the schedule we're not talking about at all that might be the biggest sleeper on LSU's schedule. I'm going to talk about that coming up as well. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com. Hey, y'all, this weekend is the Creole Tomato Festival down in the French Market. So it's the 38th annual Creole Tomato Festival, June 8th and 9th. So you're going to be down in the French Market. Make sure you get on by. Our friends over at Rouse's will be down there as well. A great sponsor. If you're a food enthusiast, you love music, or just looking for a fun day out with the family, you can get on by the Creole Tomato Festival down in the French Market in New Orleans. It's Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com. Tell you all the time, go to the website of the Rouse's app, hit the weekly ad tab, and you'll get that week's specials. There's always discounts. So if you're making groceries and you want to see what's on sale, so if you're trying to shop on a budget, you can do it at Rouse's. And, of course, you get great locally sourced products. Look for the Rouse's They always source locally when and where they can. It's Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's. This feels like home.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further. like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency.
Put it up for the night. Climb up in the loft, sit and talk with the radio on. She says she's got a dream, and I ask what it is.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge is excited to partner with our sister station Eagle 98.1 on a rare opportunity for local bands in our area to be the featured act for Kenny Wayne Shepherd's July 13th show at the River Center. We're looking for 5 Louisiana bands to compete at a special Battle of the Bands on June 21st at the Texas Club. To submit an entry to take part with a sample of your band's sound and get all the details, visit 1045ESPN.com. The entry deadline is June 12th.
Big hat tip to Michelle Southern, who is phenomenal. Afternoon Drive, Eagle 98.1, multiple-time winner of the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters Award for Personality of the Year, which is basically our state's version of like the Oscar for best actor or whatever. She's won that multiple times. She's phenomenal. And Michelle put that together. It's, if you didn't catch that, so Kenny Wayne Shepherd is playing a show in Baton Rouge. And what's the date of the Kenny Wayne Shepherd show in July?
The 13th, July 13th.
So basically what the Battle of the Bands is a contest to be the opening act for Kenny Wayne Shepherd. So whichever band wins is going to open at the River Center for Kenny Wayne Shepherd on July 13th. That is freaking amazing. Like, Michelle's the one who came up with that idea and put it together through the promoter and through the whole... Anyway, I don't think I've ever heard of that. That's like some real life... Remember that movie with Mark Wahlberg and Jennifer Aniston? Wasn't it Rockstar? When he was he was a singer in the... Mark Wahlberg was a singer in the in a cover band for this band, and then the lead singer of the band quits. And so...
Rockstar.
Yeah, so then they go and they find him, and he becomes the lead singer of the band, which is friggin' incredible. Anyway, that's what this is like. Now, you're not going to replace Kenny Wayne Shepherd, but it's a contest to be able to go open for Kenny Wayne Shepherd.
And your band could still get discovered.
Yeah, that's friggin' awesome.
That's
That is
pretty
a
cool.
really, really cool radio promotion. That's why Michelle's the goat. All right. We're going to get your emails, tweets, texts in. We appreciate you for being there. Always appreciate our friends at Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Locations all Bunkie and below. You want a John Deere? You go to Sunshine. Sunequip.com, sunequip.com. Our partners at Sunshine are awesome. Love them so much. We have spent a good amount of time so far in this college offseason looking at the schedule, assessing win totals, all that sort of stuff. And generally, the consensus when we look at LSU schedule, Muse, Paulie, when we just, so I don't say it, just to make sure I'm not off base. When we look at, okay, the most impactful games on LSU's schedule this year, there's generally two, I think, that everybody talks about.
Alabama's normally Bama.
And what's the other one everybody's talking about this year?
USC. Oh, I'm sorry, you mean conference. Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. So, Ole Miss preseason top 10. They're all in for the playoff. That's an early October game. It's like everybody knows Bama, Ole Miss. Those feel like the swing games for the season. Well, I was fascinated. ESPN updated their FPI, which is their football percentage index. And again, FPI is a metric. Now, we all use it and sort of roundly accept it as college football fans because it's got some credibility behind it. Now, I don't think any of us knows the algorithm, but we know they take a bunch of numbers, put it all together, and boom, it spits out this number, and it tells us things like your probability of winning your conference, how many wins you'll have, your probability of going to the playoff, winning the playoff, all that sort of stuff. Well, ESPN updated their FPI numbers, and LSU, by the way, when they look at the top teams by national championship odds. Okay, this is odds to win the national championship. LSU is 14th in the country. Georgia, Oregon, Texas, Ohio State, Bama, that's your top five. No big surprise. There's LSU at 14. The one on this list that absolutely floors me is who the computers have at number 8. The FPI computers say the team with the 8th best odds to win the national championship, the Oklahoma Sooners. Oh, but there's more. Again, LSU at 14, Ole Miss, they don't even have in the top 15. After Bama at 5, Penn State, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Florida State, Missouri, 11, Michigan, Clemson, LSU, Kansas. And I guess the thought with Kansas there is somebody's got to win that crappy Big 12 and get a spot in the playoffs. And Texas and Oklahoma aren't in that league anymore. So if Kansas wins it, they're right there in the playoff as the as the Big 12 champion. But it goes a little further and a little deeper. They looked at the top 20, all right? So this is like the FPI top 20 for this season. Georgia, Oregon, Texas, Ohio State, Bama, Penn State, Notre Dame, yada, yada, yada. Number 8 in the top 20, Oklahoma. So they have Oklahoma. FPI is Oklahoma is the 8th best team in the country and with the 8th best odds of winning the national championship. LSU, meanwhile, 14th best odds of winning the championship, number 13 in their rankings. By the way, FPI, not big fans of Ole Miss. They got LSU 13, A&M 14, Clemson 15, Ole Miss 16. So the humans love Ole Miss, don't like Oklahoma. The computers don't like Ole Miss, love Oklahoma. There's even more. Like, I don't want to get bogged down in this, but it's so interesting. They listed the games on the schedule that are the highest leverage with respect to college football playoff odds. And it's interesting, like, LSU has one game, the Bama game. Bama has 6 games on this list, which tells you there is a huge swing factor for Alabama, right? 6 games with playoff implications. Like, Georgia has 2. Like, because it's just accepted, Georgia's going to make the playoffs. Georgia's got to play Texas and Bama. That's what it is. It's like, okay, if they win those games, it's basically, are you in or do you get a bye, whatever. Bama has 6, meaning big swing possibilities for Bama. Do you go 4-2 in those? Do you go 2-4 in those? Right? I'm not saying Bama's going to go 8-4 this year, but clearly they're saying, man, there are some massive fluctuation possibility in these projected models for Bama. Oklahoma's got 4 on this list. 4. Bama, Texas, Tennessee, and Missouri. Y'all, is Oklahoma the game we're not talking about that we should be talking more about? I mean, odds makers have Oklahoma's over-under at 7.5. So Vegas thinks Oklahoma is either 8-4, 7-5, which feels right. I mean, I look at Oklahoma. Their quarterback, Oklahoma won 10 games last year, in year 2 under Brent Venables. They had a nice bounce back, but in large part because of Dillon Gabriel at quarterback. But Gabriel entered the portal. He's at Oregon now. So former 5-star Jackson Arnold is their quarterback. He's the only returning quarterback, by the way, from last year. He's a true sophomore, had 69 pass attempts last year, 4 touchdowns, 3 picks, basically mop-up duty. That's their quarterback. True sophomore with no experience. Their OC, you remember who Oklahoma's OC was last year? Do you remember? Do you remember? Anybody? Muse, Paulie? Do you remember who Oklahoma's OC was last year?
Jeff Lebby?
It was Jeff Lebby.
Okay.
Where's Jeff Lebby now?
Ole Miss.
No.
Right? No? Oh.
He was at Ole Miss, went to Oklahoma. He's now the head coach at Mississippi State.
That's right.
Yes, that is right. My point is, he ain't at Oklahoma no more. Their new OC, they got co-OCs with Seth Luttrell and Joe John Finley. Don't laugh, LSU's got co-OCs too.
I'm not laughing at it. I'm laughing at Joe John. That's fantastic.
Why are you laughing at that man's name?
That's a great name. I love it.
And Oklahoma's defense last year in that 10-win team was 77th in the country. Can I give you some perspective on that? Would you mind? Would you like to hear this?
I would love to hear that.
You know where? Remember that Ole Miss team that LSU went and scored 48 on? Remember that?
Very well, yes.
You know where Ole Miss's defense was last year?
53rd.
68th.
Darn.
1 spot behind Ole Miss. And 69th was Florida. What did LSU do to Florida last year?
They put up a lot.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels had his Heisman moment against Florida.
Trophy, yeah.
300 passing, 200 rushing in the same game. First time we've ever seen that. Oklahoma was 8 spots behind that Florida defense last year. That defense, they lose their quarterback and their OC. I get why Vegas is going, we got you 7.5. Going into the SEC now, FPI, the computers, got Oklahoma 8th. The computers love Oklahoma. If you're looking for a team that maybe everybody is sleeping on, the computers are telling you it might be Boomer Sooner. And November 30th in Tiger Stadium might be a game with college football playoff implications if this is right. All of a sudden, I got a renewed interest or an increased interest in Oklahoma coming into the SEC in year 1. All right, it's after further review. We're brought to you by Supper Club, supperclubbtr.com. Today is the day. Today is the day. Chef Layton is rolling out the new menu items at Supper Club. Man, for 2 years now, Supper Club has been delighting its guests, not only with the best atmosphere of any restaurant in the state of Louisiana and up there with any restaurant in the country. Because that was the objective. When Brandon and Mackenzie opened Supper Club, of course, everybody knows Brandon owns walk-ons, and as a result, he's been able to open restaurants all over the world and travel and eat all over the world. And he said, you know what? I want to do Supper Club as a gift to my hometown, my home state. I'm going to take an experience that usually you can only get in New York or San Francisco or London or Paris or Dubai. I'm going to bring it to Baton Rouge. So a lot of people may say, well, how is it? Because they just decided they were going to do this here. So you don't have to get on a plane and go to Dubai to have this experience like you can have at Supper Club. And so a lot of people have gone and experienced Supper Club, and so many people have craved, man, what's next at Supper Club? Well, now Supper Club is rolling out new menu items, and they're open right now. Remember, they're open Tuesday to Saturday, and it's open seating at the bar. So if you don't have a reservation, you can pop into Supper Club, sit at the bar, have a cocktail. You can eat at the bar. So no reservations required at the bar. And it's always worth a call to see if somebody canceled a reservation, to see if you can get a table, even on late notice. It's Supper Club, right there on Perkins Road near Bluebonnet. SupperClubBTR.com for your reservation. SupperClubBTR.com. The new menu items roll out today. Go experience them right now. Knocking off of work, get by Supper Club. Book your reservation at SupperClubBTR.com. Okay, it's after further review. Been a really good show, y'all. Shea Dixon was here in hour 1. If you missed our recruiting chat with Shea, as we always do, we went through NFL quarterback rankings from Pro Football Focus. Derek Carr, 21 in the NFL. Sandwiched between Baker Mayfield and Russell Wilson. Sheesh. You can catch that. We had tons of baseball talk today as well, so make sure you catch the show on demand. AFR On Demand presented by Breck Golf. Book your tee time, golf.breck.org. Let me knock out a break. I get a lot of your emails and texts and tweets into the show about baseball, so we'll run through some of those questions when we come back. Otterlocks in about 15 minutes. Don't you move. It's AFR.
AFR.
Okay, y'all, it's storming right now, and you know what I tell you every day when we talk about your Home Central AC. When the weather gets bad, when there's torrential rain, when there's tornadoes, when there's hurricanes, when there's 100-degree temps with 115-degree heat indexes, when there's flies and mosquitoes and dust and dander and everything that goes on in our hot, humid summers in Louisiana, you can go inside. Your Home Central AC unit can't. It sits out there through all of it. You want to make sure that thing runs efficiently, and you want to extend the life of your unit. Make sure you have seasonal maintenance. River City's 1 Hour Air can help. Now, if you got an issue with your AC, of course, they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. But get that preseason AC tune-up. It's like an oil change for your car. Make sure you get that done to extend the life of your unit and save you money. 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $11,000 off the new 23 Dodge Charger. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $11,000 off the powerful new Charger. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app.
Well, she ain't into cars or pickup trucks, but if it runs like a deer, man, her eyes light up. She thinks my
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
The 0-2 pitch. Called
strike three on the outside corner. Honeycutt down on strikes. 2 gone. Helmers comes in, records the punch out.
Chris Blair on the call, LSU Sports Radio Network. That was the 3-pitch strikeout, Will Helmers of Vance Honeycutt. What a night for Will Helmers. After that performance, 5 2/3, shutout ball, just 2 hits, 4 strikeouts. It was the performance of his life. Here was Will Helmers after the game.
The past 4 years have meant so much to me, and I guess kind of going out like that, obviously nobody wants to walk away with, tears in their eyes and a broken heart, but it means a lot to me to just give us a chance in those 4 or 5 innings I threw, and that's all I was trying to do, was just give us a chance, because whoever we turned it over to, I had the utmost confidence in act and engage, and there's nobody else, in the world that I'd want to, come on the backside of that game, and so it means the world to me to wear this gold jersey with, LSU on the front. It's not about the name on the back, it's about the name on the front. It says Tigers across our chest, and, that's what it really means. To me, it's just, I'm a Tiger for life.
How about Will Helmers, man? That's the kind of thing gives you goosebumps. If you've loved this program forever, it's because of guys like that. I mean, there has been such an amazing infusion of talent from outside of this state that have left an indelible mark. And you know the names, you don't need me to say them, from recent players like Dylan Cruz to obviously guys like Alex Bregman to Dr. Eddie Furness, who was a native Texan who came here and played and has his name on, and his number retired. And all of those players who've made a massive impact on this program, I'm not in any way understating their importance. It's only to say congruently that you go through the history of this program, and you heard Will Helmers say it. There's Louisiana kids that grow up and they would give an arm. They would do anything just to wear that jersey and play for that team. And so whatever your role is, it's going to mean more to that person because they were born into it. It's part of their essence of who they are. Alex Milazzo tweeted this. Again, Alex is a kid from Zachary who 5 years at LSU. The guy's had awful injury luck, man. Broke his shin in the national championship game last year. 3 consecutive years has an injury. He didn't get to play in the final game of his career yesterday because of a hamstring injury. Well, Milazzo tweeted that he got home today and his neighbor's daughter handed him this. He has a picture of it. He said, "This is what makes playing for LSU so special." And it's a card that she, obviously a young girl, made by hand, and it says "Forever a Tiger." And she drew Alex Milazzo's gold jersey and said, "Dear Big Al, thank you for all the great memories you've given us. I couldn't believe it when my dad told me that he bought the house next to yours. The last 2 seasons have been so much fun to watch and are the reason I love LSU baseball so much. Thank you for all you've done for LSU baseball. We will miss you. Go Tigers." I mean, guys like Helmers and Milazzo and Hayden Travinsky, who wore the number 8. I mean, you never want it to end for those guys, but you want them to have great moments as well. And those guys all go out having won a national championship at LSU. Their careers end with that punctuation, man. They are forever part of a national championship team, which we could have the discussion and argument that that's the greatest LSU baseball team ever. And I think when it's all said and done, we will look back and that team will have produced the most major leaguers of any LSU team. That 2023 team will. And, Will Helmers isn't going to be a major leaguer. At least I don't think he will be. Maybe he will be. Worked out for Jim Morris. That was a Jim Morris day. I kept thinking, I'm like, from the movie The Rookie. I was like, that's what that felt like. That's what it felt like. What? Tell me it didn't feel like that watching
That's
Will
a Dynamite reference, too. And yes, it did.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Old Jim Morris was out there just firing up that arm. Hadn't done it in a minute, but boy, still got it. Just grip it and rip it. But it was awesome to see, and it gave LSU a shot. And the only thing that's a bummer, and I mentioned it in the show open, the only thing that's a bummer is for this program, legacies are made in the postseason. And yes, that was a postseason game, but LSU lost the game. And we just don't remember great performances in games LSU lost. It's just, we remember the championships. We'll remember Tommy White's walk-off against Wake Forest forever. We'll remember Ty Floyd striking out 17 Gators forever. So I don't know where the Wilhelmers performance is going to fall. Probably somewhere along lines with what Devin Fontenot did against Florida State in 2019, where in relief in a 12-inning game, he went 6 1/3 and struck out 11, trying to save LSU's season. He gave up one stinking run, and it ended up being the run that ended LSU season. It was one of the most if you actually had the mind to go back and watch that Florida State game again from 2019 and watch what Devin Fontenot did that night, you get all the feelings again about how incredible and how dominant he was. But it's not the performance people talk about forever because LSU lost the game. And that may not be fair, but it's the reality when you play this program, and the standard is what it is. And I fear that's probably going to happen with this performance for Wilhelmers. But for a moment, everybody got to stand up and cheer that dude who gave LSU his entire career, played third base, man. He played third base in the opener. And in his last game, he ended up pitching 5 2/3 in a regional final of shutout ball. So congrats to Wilhelmers, man. You're right. It wasn't about you altogether, but that was a great moment individually for you, and congrats on it. All right, we're brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement. We're going to knock out our final break of the show. We'll get to Otterlocks, Michelli.com, Michelli.com. Tell you every day you weigh or measure something. Michelli sells, services, rents the products you use to weigh and measure. Hey, why send equipment to Chicago? You're a Louisiana company. You got 6 Michelli calibration labs across the state. Why would you pack up equipment and send it to some lab in Chicago or New York? Don't do that. You know the turnaround time for that? Just let someone from Michelli come by your office, pick it up, they'll bring it back, calibrate it, bring it back to you. Save you time. Don't spend 8 weeks shipping it off, getting calibrated, having to come back. Let Michelli do it in a couple days. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. You got precision measurement equipment that you don't want to leave your facility or can't. They do on-site calibration as well. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Go to Michelli.com, Michelli.com. ISO 17025 accreditation. Of course, they have their track system. It gives you 24/7, 365 access to all your calibration certificates. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com, Michelli.com. Okay, y'all. We're not going to final break of the show. Come back. Jimmy will be here for Otterlocks. Find out what we're betting on tonight. Just looked up at the screen. Saw Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase wasn't at OTAs today, or minicamp today. He wants a deal too. When Jamar gets paid, that 2019 LSU team will have $1 billion in contracts. It's incredible. I didn't make that number up. Whenever Jamar gets his contract, the 2019 team will have accounted for more than $1 billion in NFL deals. It's incredible. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel, 2 amazing hotel properties in Baton Rouge. Watermark downtown, Renaissance Southtown, right there on Bluebonnet. Hey, call my friend Allison Crump over at the Renaissance. Allison is the events coordinator, so I tell you all the time, if you want to host an event or have an event at the Renaissance, Allison's the one you'll talk to. And she's amazing to work with, and she says all the time, she and Nathaniel over there always say, we're in the business of saying yes. So however they have to use and manipulate their space to make it work for your event, they will do it. It's Michelli. It's the Renaissance Hotel right there on Bluebonnet. It's gorgeous. And I mean, so much of the uniqueness of a Renaissance is so crazy because no matter what Renaissance hotel you go into, every Renaissance is unique to its market. So like the artwork behind the desk is a 2-scale sculpture of the Mississippi River. The carpet has like crab traps in it. You'll see it. Go check it out today. It's the Renaissance Hotel.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further. like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Clock out and rock out with us Friday in downtown Baton Rouge from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. for the last Live After 5 of the spring. This Friday, come out to see the Bucktown All-Stars for Live After 5.
Down the stretch we come. Final segment on a Tuesday edition of AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Sunnyquip.com, sunnyquip.com. I always talk to you about my friend Rooney. Email. He said, Grace over there, Grace Vest, who's the marketing director. She's awesome, by the way. He said, Grace getting jealous because I always mention Rooney and not Grace. Shout out Grace. She's the best. Grace Vest. Okay. Otterlocks. Hit it, Muse.
Otterlocks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
Otter, how are you?
Doing good. You, Matt?
Doing well. We hit on UConn last night. Good call there. Missed on our 3-leg money line parlay, however. But we're back at it again, though, man.
Yeah. What was your plus money on UConn last night?
Let me check. I had plus 190.
Yeah, there was pretty good. Pretty good. Both of them were kind of over early, but a sleeper at plus 190 we'll take for a profitable night. 4 games in Major League Baseball. 1 is underway. Kid for the Washington Nationals making his first start against the Mets. Washington could have won it last night. They had a slugfest. They're hitting the ball. There's some energy with this team. They were one of the worst teams for so many years, and you're still just getting a great value, great prices on them right now. The plus money at home. Nationals in game right now.
All right, looking at plus 105.
Okay, they must have got out the first.
No, wait, hang on. Now it's minus 110.
Minus 110. Still take it.
All right, yeah, it's bottom of the first. Okay.
Okay. A couple of teams on the road laying a run line. Corbin Burns with the Baltimore Orioles. Toronto is throwing the opener, so it'll be a bullpen by committee effort for Toronto against Baltimore's ace. They continue to hit. Man, that Adley Rutschman is tough in the middle of that lineup. So we're going to take the O's minus 1.5 at Toronto.
All right, that's plus 110.
Okay, and then Atlanta at Boston. One of the many kind of surprises in Musso's Red Sox rotation, Cutter Crawford, but it seems like he's hitting the wall right now. The young pitcher. Going in the opposite direction is Max Fried. He's coming off some 8 shutout innings and gave up 1 run in 7 innings before that. Atlanta without Acuna, but minus 1.5 at Fenway on the road.
All right.
And then A's, Mariners, kind of a even pitching matchup. A's at home plus money. I know they got the one guy with plastic horn and a lady giving cookies, and that's about it with the A's. But anyway, they're playing good ball, man. This team is way better than they've been the past couple of years. So taking the A's plus a nice price around plus 140 at home.
Plus 136 at DraftKings. All right, so we got Washington on the money line, Baltimore and Atlanta on the run line, then Oakland on the money line. Your 4 plays tonight in MLB.
Super regional breakdowns and picks are on my Twitter account.
All right.
On the Bet Rivers Network, so at Jimmy Ott 1045 or Sports Better's Paradise.
Yeah, if you don't follow Sports Better's Paradise on YouTube, get over there and subscribe up to the channel. Jimmy will have the videos that they drop daily on the pod, and you can get picks there every day. So
Yes.
where are you tomorrow?
Tomorrow we're at Modesto on Burbank.
Very cool, very cool. All right, Otter, have a great show. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay, good luck.
All right, again, Washington on the money line, Oakland on the money line, Baltimore and Atlanta on the run line tonight. We're brought to you by Evermore. Of course, great tasting natural artesian water. Evermore, everybody's talked about the necessity. It's been such a big thing the last several years about being alkaline, being in an alkaline state. Well, Evermore is a pH of 8.8 to 9.1. If you want a healthier option for your family, it's Evermore. This is natural artesian water. I mean, straight from a natural spring, a natural artesian well in the ground, right there in Covington, piped up into their facility. It's run through the filter, and then boom, dropped in a bottle, and it's capped, and it never touches air until you uncap this bottle and sip it. It's Evermore. Evermore.com, available at great local retailers. All right, that's going to do it for us here on this Tuesday edition of AFR. We appreciate our friends over at Sunshine. Thanks to Shea Dixon, who was here in hour number 1. We actually squeezed in quite a bit of football talk today as well. If you missed anything, AFR On Demand, presented by Breck Golf. Book your tee time at golf.breck.org. That's golf.breck.org. Muse, Paulie, I appreciate it. Y'all have a great night. Come on back tomorrow for a hump day edition of AFR. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
As we get on down the road, remind you about Optimize. Get to generatorpeople.com. Generatorpeople.com. Literally, as we're sitting here in the 5 o'clock hour, I'm looking up at the screen, and we get the EAS weather alerts. Saw reports of tornadoes in a meet, and man, I sure hope everybody is okay, sincerely. But when this weather like this comes through, it's just another reminder of the importance of acting now to get that Generac automatic home standby generator from Optimize installed now. Remember, it's a little bit of a process. You can't just call them, they come by one day and install it. You got to get permits to install a generator. It's got to be so far from, windows and doors to get the permit. They have to be in touch with the power company as well. So start that process today. You might think you can't afford it. If you have $600 for a down payment, they have financing options for any budget and a free 10-year warranty right now. Go to generatorpeople.com. They're the best. The entire 1012 corridor, generatorpeople.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system. in the nation.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Electricity.